Poisonrana.
Hello. Davie Portman here from Poisonrana. It is Sunday. It is 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And we are live with a brand new episode of Poisonrana Live. Braden is off today. He's in upstate New York, Seneca, Niagara, celebrating with his girlfriend, gambling, hopefully winning us lots and lots of money. But I have a very special guest this week. Someone who, last time I saw him, I think we were in a bar in Da Nang, Vietnam, with an attractive lady in bunny ears serving us drinks whilst a guy was trying to fix our phone. It is Benno from the Grapple podcast and Benno and Hamflett in your house. Benno, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, mate. I'm happy to be Braden's stand-in. As you know, last time I was in Toronto, I was mistaken for Braden, not once, but twice. And I'm going to choose to take that as a compliment. He is a style icon after all. But I've got to start there, mate. Now you can actually say back in Nam. And back in Nam, when you were here with me in Vietnam, mate, you were just trying to kill me with tequila. So it's great to see you in these circumstances, mate, rather than haze I was in for those 2 days post that. Jesus Christ.
Have you recovered yet?
Oh, just about. Honestly, I was feeling it for a week. I was like, have I just gotten lightweight? Am I just old now? I don't know what it is. I was just so happy because we went out, didn't we? I was trying to show you the local bar scene here. There isn't much of one. There's basically one street. So we went to like the best bar here, I'd say, Corner Bar, which is just over the road from where I live. And like, yeah, it just got to a point where it was just like, okay, I feel like, is this me or like, is this just how people normally react to tequila? And then I saw you that like a couple of days later, you're like, no, man, I'm still feeling it now. So I'm glad it wasn't me. Maybe it was watered down. We thought maybe there's something in it, but maybe we're old.
Something was up with something we had. I mean, I was working last night and we had a few tequilas at the end of my shift, and I feel absolutely fine today. But I bumped into my other friend Sean, who was in Vietnam the same time as us, and went out drinking, and he said the same. He was like, I felt awful the next day. So there was something going on, something we had there that didn't sit right with us, because I was definitely feeling it. You were certainly feeling it. Fun time. I had a great time there in Vietnam. I did record a show just last week on our Patreon feed with Braden, kind of catching up and talking about my trip and everything. But I feel I'll be back there at some point. I've started looking at, teaching English as foreign language courses and stuff like that. Like I'm very jealous of, and I think you open my eyes a bit being over there, of what a great life you can have in Vietnam.
That's the way to do it, mate. I think I blew your mind most when we, at the end of our night, you might not even remember this, we went to like the local convenience store for just the last couple of drinks, because you can buy beer any time in Vietnam. There are no rules. And we were just sat outside having like 30p cans of beer. I just bought a packet of cigarettes for about literally 30p also. And I remember you just having that breakthrough, like, I could do this. This could be a thing, Poisonrana from Vietnam could be a thing. I don't know. Get that TEFL sorted, and you could be teaching. There's lots of ways to do it, mate. But we'll create a whole bubble. We'll bring everyone else here, John and Wayne, next.
Yeah, get in touch with Vietnam Pro Wrestling and have create our own WrestleMania for them and everything. Yeah, it'll be great. Perfect. Like just all move over there. But no, I loved it. And you guys are absolutely killing it. For those of you listening, I'm sure everyone knows who Benno is at this point. Being a member of the Post Wrestling Network for years and has hopped on Poisonrana a bunch of times. But let everyone who might be finding us for the first time know what you've got going on with Grapple and Benno and Hamflett.
Yeah, I'll start with Benno and Hamflett. Obviously, me and Hamflett did the Cena show, the Ciampa is here with you guys, and obviously, we're now into season 2 of Benno and Hamflett. So we've moved from the new generation period, which we both dearly love, into the Attitude Era almost. We're 2 shows off the Attitude Era. We had a lot, as you know, as a man who loves a good graphic, Davey, we had a lot of conversation behind the scenes of like, when do we unveil the scratch logo? Do we have to wait until December 1997? But we've launched it with season 2. We have decided we're all blacks, we're all greys, we're all dark reds now. And apparently the boom is coming, and we'll discover whether that's the case or not. But yeah, every 2 weeks we have a show out, either a housekeeping, looking at the Raws of the month, or looking at the full in your house review of the pay-per-view. So check that out. Benno and Hamflett in your house, wherever podcasts are sold. And yeah, like you say, hopefully listeners know me that by now with Grapple. But yeah, search Grapple Noe wherever podcasts are sold. We just got done with our Mania week coverage, so a million shows kind of came out over that period, and yeah, got lots more fun stuff over there. Our tier list shows are always a big winner over there. We just did one on WrestleMania, as you can check out. We had an Ask Grapple earlier this month as well. But generally speaking, if you enjoy this show and the kind of roundup of what's going on in the wrestling world, we do quite similar stuff over there on our own our flavor too. So yeah, do check it out if you haven't already.
Absolutely. I love listening to you guys. I both Grapple and Benno and Hamflett. I just finished the Ground Zero review you guys did, and yeah, your Mania coverage. Have you recovered from that? Was there a show you didn't watch that weekend?
Effie's big gay brunch at the end of it. I couldn't face it. I couldn't face any Effie. I just couldn't do it on the, I think that was the Sunday afternoon. But outside of that, pretty much everything. And the answer is no, I haven't recovered. As you know, like anytime we did meet in Vietnam, you'd be like, oh, is this too late to meet Ben? I'll be like, dude, that's like my breakfast time. Like I'm not usually up till like 10 p.m. It's sound, mate. I'll be all good. But I feel like Mania week broke me. Like keeping up with obviously all the indies that was going on was one job. But you kind of forget there's like 3 days of that. And then the 2 WrestleMania nights, which were a killer over here. Again, I remember as we were talking about it out here, you were like, oh, I'd love that lifestyle, you know? Pay-per-view start about 7 a.m. Vietnamese time, done at 10 a.m. if you're lucky, get on, do the post-show, and by lunchtime, your day's good. And it's like, my life is reversed to that. That is just, it turns into very late in the Benno night, so I'm still up at 10 a.m., at 11 a.m. So honestly, I haven't got back to normal yet. It's still a work in progress.
Well, I guess for you, you're on a UK schedule, whereas like
that's the big
here
thing.
I'd be like we'd be doing post shows immediately after, whereas you're doing more like a 9 p.m. UK time sort of thing.
Exactly.
So getting with the rest of the boys. So yeah, that's tough. Any like I know you've done your roundups with Grapple, but what were your highlights from everything you saw Mania weekend? Like, did you have a match of the weekend or like most crazy match of the weekend or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. Unfortunately, it wasn't very good this year, but I still had a great time. Like, and that was the main thing for me. I just enjoy, we've done them 9 years in a row now. I just enjoy, I'm a sicko watching all these daft shows like through the night. And then the gems are just getting a little bit harder to find, I'd say, this year. I think it was overwhelmingly, like, at least our Discord and our little community kind of felt the same way with it. Obviously, a Blue Panther, like, he was the MVP of WrestleMania weekend, if you want to say, and obviously Ultimo Guerrero there with him as far as like the 2 dads match from the CMLL show, and pretty much anything from that. Was it the Palms? They run any show from that venue looked the best, had the best production, was just the shiniest and kind of was nice to look at, as opposed to like the GCW venue where some of the worst of the weekend took place. Stranglemania isn't getting away with it. I was looking forward to ironically enjoying that and kind of, hoping it'd be so bad it'd be good. It was just so bad it was bad. So that wasn't great. Obviously, Spring Break had some highlights. The Sandman match I would probably throw out there as well. I enjoyed Amazing Red and Bandido from that Palms venue as well. That was a bit of fun too, but outside of that, I can't really pick any others out. There were a lot of 2-star matches, a lot of 2.5-star matches, and not much else going on, really. So, yeah, maybe check out House of Glory for the Bandido match. Maybe check out CMLL. But outside of that, you're all right. You can wait. You can wait for 2 years for another Mania weekend in the US.
Are we at that point now where, when you get to that age where you're really trying to get excited about Christmas? You remember like just loving Christmas. You remember the enthusiasm and just so excited to open presents. And then the year finally comes when you go, oh shit, it's Christmas tomorrow. And you don't feel in the spirit at all. Because that's certainly how I felt this year. Like I do find it hard watching these indie shows at home. Like they're like indie shows being there. It doesn't matter how bad or stupid it is. Like being there is a lot of fun. Watching with peaking audio and everything at home isn't necessarily my thing, although there are highlights here and there. But I think the thing is all the big names are with a major company now, and especially when you're having things like we saw with TNA wrestlers being pulled from certain matches, or like even those dream indie matches can't really happen much anymore. So I think it's like a lot of slim pickings now, and obviously everyone's talked about Mania and the the lack of wrestling and the commercials and all that. And then we're going to Saudi next year, so who knows if we're gonna get any of this supporting content and stuff. So it really feels like maybe this was the last Mania of its kind for a while, and yeah, we'll see how it is. And I found it funny because despite all the negative stuff towards WWE, TKO, WrestleMania, the main event of night 2 I fucking loved, and it's like I want to like hate the Fed and just be like, oh, fuck you, this big corporate machine, and don't care about wrestling. And then, like, for me, easily match of the weekend, like Roman versus Punk. And I think exceeded expectations for a lot. And I'm definitely more sort of like Fed pilled, as you'd say, than you are. But like hearing you guys sort of rave about the match as well, I'm like, okay, I'm not just on my own. Like I thought it was fantastic and one of the best WWE matches I can think of for a long time.
Oh, definitely. And like I think that was the thing about the weekend for WWE, wasn't it? It was like that night 1, it almost felt cathartic. It was a hate watch for everybody. And it was a shame. It was kind of like there was like half of the people who were always going to hate watch it no matter what. Maybe I fit into that group a little bit. And I felt bad for, like, say, for the more Fed type people who were kind of watching it, hoping for something, and even them, you know, joining into it. And it was kind of universally panned for all the good reasons I know you guys went through, and obviously we went through as well. So yeah, it was kind of a podcaster's dream, though, I kind of thought. So I think it was maybe the same for you guys. You kind of got to go in deep, you know, 2-footed on night 1, and then night 2, like I say, it had those 2 openers that were great. The ESPN matches, obviously with the Brock retirement and the ladder, retirement and the ladder match as well. And then, yeah, of course, like Punk and Roman. Like, I'm not afraid to admit, mate, it wasn't just that it was 10 in the morning here and I had a couple of beers and I hadn't slept in 6 days. I almost had a tear in my eye. You know, I was standing and pacing around the room on near falls. That never happens to me in like WWE matches. And obviously the whole Punk, presentation, the ROH theme, all of it was very much tailored for me as well. But same as you, I kind of got done. I thought, that's not usually my style to love a big time, WWE match like that. Am I wrong? And then watched it back the next day and loved it still. The second day, it was a great, one of the, maybe not an all-time WrestleMania main event, but I'd say of the modern WrestleManias, whatever we call them, definitely like up there as like a 1, 2, or 3, for me at least.
For me, and like I'm repeating what I said to Braden, but like the last couple of years, I think the word story has been thrown around a lot, and I think a lot of people confuse storytelling with explicitly spelling out to us, the audience, even in matches, like vocally telling us the story. And I thought that match just told a perfect story, which the build was a little weird, but the match actually made sense of it with the "you're old" comment and that kind of stuff. And I think a Roman Reigns in another match would have probably repeatedly throughout the match been going, "You're old, Phil. You're an old man. Stay down, Phil." All of that. And maybe that's Punk being like, "Hey, dial that back. We can tell that with our selling and all of that." And I think it was perfect. Just told, that's storytelling in wrestling for me, where you can see how the match is swinging. Like Punk is throwing everything, like desperately throwing everything at Roman, and for the most part getting the better of Roman, but his body is broken down, and eventually Roman wins the match. And the finish was the same as Undertaker at 33, where they were trying to tell the same story, but Undertaker just couldn't go then. So this was a similar idea, but just executed so much better. And I think it's definitely going to be on my list and a lot of people's lists at the end of the year.
Yeah, I can see it absolutely being like the WWE match of the year this year. And you're totally right. That's what like Matty said it on our preview show going into it, and give him credit, he was right. I was skeptical on whether the two styles could blend together, as you say there. And I think that was exactly it. The point you mentioned there, where like Roman maybe did, lean into his cinema, talking to Punk kind of bag. Punk's reaction to that was, well, I'm just going to punch you in the face, which is very CM Punk coded, isn't it? And you had that blend of the two styles. You had Punk as the, at least in the WWE vein, the more traditional wrestler versus Roman, with the big hits and maybe that little bit of drama. And it created magic, and they had a chemistry that I wasn't expecting out of them either, as well as, like you say, you say story in wrestling, there's good and bad stories. I like to remind people sometimes as well, but this was a good story, well told on source material that you're totally right was ropey in the weeks going in. I'm a massive Punk guy, but I don't think he brought his A game in the promos and the lead into it. But did it all matter on the night? Not really. I'll give them both credit. Masters made it work, and yeah, just a great match.
It's interesting as well because Roman's best matches are against these more old school wrestling mentality guys. Like, his best matches have been the Cody matches, the Daniel Bryan matches, and the AJ Styles matches, in my opinion. And I there must be something there that just meshes well, right? Like his sort of cinema thinking with the old school wrestling mentality, where it just works. Like, they've easily been Roman's best matches in WWE. Whereas when he's against more another cinema guy like a John Cena or something, it just never really worked. So it is interesting to see.
If anything, he's more comfortable in his skin, isn't he, in those scenarios, like being Roman rather than being in there with the Cena. I'd add Brock to that list as well, of those people as well, in a slightly different style. But totally hadn't really thought about it like that. I think there's something to it.
Well, it was funny. Braden said to me earlier in the week, it's like, oh, I'm going to Seneca with my girlfriend. Do you think you could find someone to cover this week? Or he said, nothing's really going on this week. We could probably skip it. And then, of course, WWE releases a whole load of people, which we do have to talk about. We'll go through all the names there. I'm off the top of my head. What was it? 2023, was it?
I think so.
Something like that. But let's start with the big one, a shocker throughout the wrestling world. Trill London being released from WWE. Trill London, formerly known as Trill Williams, obviously played college football for Syracuse University, was on the Miami Dolphins team, Evolve regular. Absolute shock here, Trill London. What were your thoughts on this?
Devastated, mate. I'm never going to recover from it. I've always been a fan of, what's his name? Drill London. Big fan of Drill London. Had all the potential in the world. And I can't believe WWE blown another one. Tony can't open up the purse strings, mate. Come on, sort it out.
Well, let's go through some of the big names here. I think maybe the Wyatt Six, that was a big, bulk release there. I think, listening to you guys, I know Gareth on Grapple's often licking his lips when it comes to release day, and obviously, get the obvious out the way. Yes, it sucks. People have lost their jobs. TKO reporting, huge money, big bonuses for execs and all the like, and then cutting people that same week. It's shitty. The contracts are shitty. The contracts aren't real contracts. It's a rolling 90-day contract. We go through this every year, but there is also the uproar, oh my God, I can't believe they released Alba Fire. And it's like, well, can't you? Are there any big surprises on this list for you, Benno?
Yeah, I mean, as a starting point, I'm glad you said the grown-up part first. I do mostly agree with that. But it is, it's part of it, and it's it's going to happen in any sport. I think the difference in wrestling, as you kind of rightly point out, is in the world of wrestlers not really having agents and not really any bargaining power. It's very one-way street, isn't it? And the next time somebody on this list, for example, just to pull a name out the hat, Aleister Black, could have asked for his release 3 months ago and would have got told to fuck off, wouldn't he? And that's just how one-sided this relationship is, and that's, in broad strokes, something that does need fixing, but the power in fixing that's with the wrestlers and agents and unionization and all of those things. And maybe there's somebody on this list that might shout for that again on Twitter as well. But that's where the surprises come, really. It's you're right, the Wyatt Six, I guess you could say that's a surprise, considering how regularly they were used not just recently, but very clearly that was something Triple H felt like a hostage in being in booking, like he was tied down and forced to do it over this last period, and this was like the last stand there doing the feud with the MFTs. But like, yeah, you tie that in. I think obviously Aleister Black being a big one there as well. I think that's, again, somebody who, if you believe reports, was supposed to be involved in, the big story WrestleMania weekend. So, like, yeah, that's got to have been like a shock to him, and I've got plenty of thoughts on that as well. But yeah, Kyrie Sane's probably the other one. They're the big ones for me. They're the ones that, like, I think unexpected just purely because of their use on TV versus, whether there is an argument or not an argument for it. The other names, like you say, you can't really be too surprised, can you, going up and down the list when you look at their usage on TV or non-usage. But it does beg the question, yeah, like if you were planning to release at least those 3 or 4 at the top of the list, like why were they so regularly on TV recently? And yeah, what changed in that time?
Yeah, I mean, why it's 6? I think that's like creative, right? They just don't know how to write for these people. It's apart from the initial debut, which I actually thought they did quite well. I liked that when they debuted the Wyatt 6, they weren't like trying to pretend that these were supernatural beings. These are 5 people who are broken, who are some way, whether friends with Bray Wyatt or inspired by Bray Wyatt, that have come together and have created these alter egos to sort of protect themselves from the harshness of the world and stuff like that. And I thought it was a real smart way. And it was one of the sort of, Triple H taking over. How can we make sense of this group? And it worked, the opening vignettes and how they debuted, and then very quickly they ran out of ideas and just reverted to being, oh, they're magic. They're spooky and magic, and we don't know how else to really write for them, and had this god-awful feud over a lantern, which, what does the lantern really mean? Why did Solo Sikoa want the lantern? It just felt like it's a way to get these matches on TV. And, the final match they had with the MFTs was kind of fun as just a bit of a car crash multi-man match, but they clearly just didn't know how to write for these people. And yeah, I'm not overly surprised. What do you see these guys doing? Do you see them sticking together as a group? Do you see them all going their separate way? What do you think?
I was going to say, first of all, like what you've just described there, is that not the Bray Wyatt story? How many times did that happen?
Absolutely.
Come back, big entrance, great music. We'd all get excited. Even me, when I was, built to hate the Bray Wyatt character. And then as the weeks would go by, I'd be like, all right, okay, creatively, they haven't got an idea, or his ideas are too wacky for them, and it never worked. It's kind of strange to think, yeah, this tribute act to Bray Wyatt kind of went the same way. And yeah, like I remember being in Liverpool for like a Liverpool wrestling con that we had on here, and at the time when that weird set of releases when Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman were both released, and no matter what I just said about Bray there, he was a big time star in WWE at the time, so it was a big shock. Same for Braun Strowman, and seeing them both doing signings there with people just going, this person was in WWE like 3 months ago. How's this possible? I think that's probably the future for these guys. Maybe not to that level, but I think you'll see them as a group at that type of thing at your local convention. Maybe your one-off indie appearance, maybe on special occasions, but outside of that, I think they all go the separate ways. I think Joe Gacy is somebody who probably lands in the places you'd expect them to land, back into the indies. He was always wild as a WWE signing. I think the other probably most notable one there, Bo Dallas, probably goes back to doing whatever Bo Dallas was doing before he was re-signed by WWE. Seems to have his own little life outside the wrestling there as well. Maybe a Dexter Lumis winds up back in TNA, but I think you see the parts will strip off and go in different directions, and it'll be more like a novelty event to sell a few pictures and a reunion type thing you'll probably see from time to time with them, rather than anybody going in on the group whole hog.
Yeah, I see them, occasionally there'll be a Comic-Con where you can get a photo with all 5 members and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's, I've been banging on about creative in WWE, but some of these people, like a Joe Gacy, as you mentioned, incredibly creative and charismatic performer. Same with Bray. And the fact it's not working, I don't think is down to the performer here. It's the writers, and I think it's just
Do you think it's the medium a little bit as well? Do you think it fits? Do you think something like that can fit the medium of weekly pro wrestling? I always love scratching your brain on stuff like this, with obviously your theatre background and stuff like that. I think you approach these stories differently. Is there a wrestling world where you can tell stories with a group like this?
I mean, it worked with The Undertaker, didn't it? I know it was a different era, like the late 90s and stuff, but all that like whole Undertaker and Kane story and Ministry of Darkness and stuff was so popular back then. And I think we're in a different time, but I feel you, and I've been saying this for so long, you need to hire writers, like actual people that went to a good university to learn creative writing and know how to structure stories and know how to write for different voices and stuff like that, rather than people that used to be dropped on their heads for a living being like, oh, I could write this, like like, yes, you can have some wrestling minds in there, but it's characters like this. I would love to see some actual writers be given the challenge and not having the old heads be like, well, that's just not how we do things. Give it a go.
Yeah.
Like it's so creatively stale at the moment. And I think the fact you had a performer like a Bray Wyatt who, that initial release, I'm the same with you. I wanted to like Bray Wyatt. I like the idea of Bray Wyatt. You could see he's just bubbling with all these ideas and stuff, and was captivating. Just the content was shitty. Like what he was given was shitty. And it's been the same with these guys. Now, I don't necessarily think their ceilings are as high as a Bray Wyatt. I actually think Joe Gacy is probably going to do the best out of the group, because I do think he's got that mind for it, and I can see him, as you said, doing some wacky stuff on the indies and things. But
Joe Gacy's Bloodsport coming soon.
Yeah. and maybe continue the tag team with Dexter as well. But Rowan, we've seen him disappear and come back. He had that weird like one-off match in AEW, which was like a pre-show. Was it Revolution 2022 or something like that, where he actually showed up and was, I think he's actually excellent in those kind of multi-man things where he doesn't have to carry a whole singles match, but can come in as a big guy who does a dive to the outside and throw some big leg lariats around and stuff. He's pretty impressive. But I feel like these guys were probably like let down, but the way they were presented, the stories they were having, I can't say I'm particularly surprised.
It's never kind of been for me, but like the quick thing I'd say on it is like, place that's not for me, TNA. Like I feel like if there was ever a place, and you know what they're like, they're going to be cutting corners. They probably won't sign all of them, but if they brought in like 3 of them and put them in the Undead Realm or whatever it's called
and
these
around with
days,
Rosemary and Sinister,
you could.
And all that,
it'd be terrible, but you could see it fitting, for all the
Yeah.
reasons we've gone through. But that's maybe the only hope I'd say for the Wyatt sickos out there of keeping them together.
Yeah, there's also like MLP, which obviously has a TV deal now in Canada, whether like some of these people will be showing up there. I can't see any of these being an AEW fit, really. Maybe Nikki Cross, because I think AEW could always do with some more women, but I don't really see any of these fitting in there personally.
No, it wouldn't shock me like she turned up at a Collision or something like that as a one-off.
Yeah.
That's going to be true of this entire list, though, isn't it? Tony can't help himself no matter what the rest of us think.
And then, as you mentioned, Aleister Black and Zelina Vega. I know you're going to have a lot of fun with this one. But, yeah, I mean, had some big SmackDown main events in the past year. Had the feud with Damian Priest, the ambulance match, which was quite a bit of fun, and actually beating Randy Orton as well, and being released. Seemed Karrion Kross left, and he just picked up his gimmick and continued with it, and now he's gone as well. I laughed. I unfortunately, sorry, I know these guys lost
fucking gold royalty, this, Davey, come on.
I found this funny. Like there's something that's just incredibly unlikable, I find, about these two. And yeah, I'm sure you've seen some of the AEW tweets going around as well from roster members, like we don't want them and stuff like that. But yeah, what's going on here? And like, have at it.
It's one of them. It's like, I mean, very clearly they don't want them, do they? And again, Tony Khan's another matter. Who knows, what the future might hold with it. But like I say, I predate, WWE runs, AEW runs. Like, I thought you might be a bit protective over them, like you say, being a bit of a, that black and gold connection there as well. So I'm glad you've given me the open goal to go in 2-footed in them, because I've hated this cunt since about 2010, mate, when he was on the indies doing a fake hard man thing in Europe and working shoot shows. Maybe he'll take over Bloodsport. Maybe that's what it'll be going forward. But it's just never been for me, and I think that the big part of it is the real person that comes out, and it's funny as well, because like I say, it's not for me. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time is Loki. A lot of people in my parts of the world have got a lot of time for Bret Hart. What do those two guys have in common? They take themselves very fucking seriously, often to a fault, especially with like a Loki example. And Aleister Black's kind of in that mold too, isn't he? He takes himself very, very seriously. He takes his gimmick seriously. He takes what color socks he's wearing in the morning seriously. He takes his Twitch streams seriously. And according to reports in AEW, seem to take his, win-loss record seriously as well. But it's that overall like unlikable side of it, and just the, I'm fine with wrestlers kind of standing up for themselves, but it's kind of got to make sense. And you also have got to then say, well, yeah, the company needs to stand up for themselves, and not sure they absolutely did with Aleister Black. I think there's definitely, for Malakai back even when he was called that in AEW, there's definitely an argument against Tony Khan there too, for maybe not forcing him or a Miro onto TV to do jobs, if that story was correct. But you have got to laugh at the schadenfreude of it. What was it? One day less than a year, his big WWE return went, Uncle Hunter will take care of me. He'll know how to book me. He'll get me going again. None of this amateur hour stuff at AEW. And then he goes back, and yeah, he's gone. Like, not even a year later. And really, I mean, we said it with Andrade, and it turned out that Andrade did have an open door to go back to AEW, but it does feel like, you say from those tweets and stuff, that door is closed with him. And yeah, Zelina Vega, obviously, yeah, she, for their part as well, I can't see her being up their street either. So like, they've really tried to play like galaxy brain chess, and they've failed here. Like, I don't know where either of them go from here, especially Tommy Belland.
Yeah, like I feel bridges were clearly burned in AEW, and which is when you know how these contracts work in WWE, it baffles me that you'd burn those bridges. Like, you look back at Andrade's last run, he did the Continental Classic. He kind of given his notice. It felt like everyone knew he was going after the Continental Classic, but was there to put on some good matches and take some pins, and I think that kind of won that respect from Tony Khan. And I'm sure at the time he's like, I'm going to go to like the opportunities there to work with my wife again. It'll be easier for us, blah blah blah. Tony Khan understood, and that door was left open, and he's come back. And man, like, this is the most entertaining Andrade's ever been, and totally. He was someone massive fan of his in NXT, and actually, the best presentation, ironically, was with Zelina Vega. I thought Zelina Vega and Andrade worked way more than Zelina and her own husband worked on TV together. Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like, Aleister Black, I just don't. There was a moment in NXT. There was that one episode where, there was the whole story, who ran over Aleister Black, and he comes back to Full Sail, and he's kicking down doors and throwing black masses everywhere. And it felt like Austin in 98, 99. And watching him at that point, you go, oh, they've got something really special on their hands here. And it ended up just being like a really cool moment. And I think he's talented. I enjoy his wrestling, and he's had some matches I've enjoyed in the past, but there is just this unlikable factor about him. And I find the same with Zelina as well. Like, you see the stuff on her Twitch stream, and she's going off at Sean Ross Sapp for reporting it. Like, he's
I can't believe Sean Ross Sapp fired them both. Can you believe it? Unbelievable.
Yeah, like it's just like, that's where your anger is. Like, it, I don't know. I find these two interesting, because I think Black especially is very talented, and I just think bridges have been burnt, and unless it's WWE coming back calling at some point, I don't see him landing in any major promotion. And like, I mean, where would you see these two ending up?
The list is short, isn't it? Like, it
Yeah.
is a swallow your pride and go to TNA situation again, isn't it? Or I can't see anywhere in Japan being a fit. Like, that doesn't really make any sense to me either. And yeah, it's like I say, it's just funny to look at it in that, you know, I think at the end of it, we get to have at least myself as a you know, certified Tommy End hater, like, get to have the last laugh on it. But again, it didn't feel guaranteed. This is the one that's most out the blue. It did no matter what I think of him as a performer or as a man or any of that stuff, the company were behind him at least to a point, like you say on TV. He was, you know, reasonably, you know, utilized on SmackDown and was a guy that was in the periphery. And like I say, I think that the biggest thing about it is that very clearly went back to WWE, despite the fact, you know, they were sacked in a pandemic, weren't they? And Tony Khan was the one that brought them in and, you know, gave them a job when they needed it and all of that stuff. But like, you know, went back in just assuming Triple H would have us back, and he didn't. And I can't see him having that kind of, you know, at least at this point, you know, maybe did a little bit early on, but clearly for whatever reason didn't have the back that much. I can't see, you know, another booker like that fits, you know, again, his particulars about what he wants and how he wants to present himself and stuff like that. And yeah, anywhere that would take him, it's hard to not see him button heads with someone like a Tony Khan who's not Triple H or somebody else like that he doesn't respect, because clearly that was the issue there too.
Unless he's just gonna, you know, swallow his pride and go ask for a job and I'll do whatever. I'll lie on my back, like whatever. Like it's
yeah, I wouldn't rule that out either. Again, with all of these, never, as much as it makes me and you can sit here and have logical conversations of why it shouldn't happen, why it won't happen, it actually doesn't fully mean it won't happen, though, does it? No. When it's Tony Khan, like he's done it a few times with bringing these talent back.
Just have Brody King steamroll him on his return or something. Yeah,
done.
Yeah, very strange. It almost, if you're picking up a WWE contract, you almost don't want it to be high, do you? Like, I imagine they're both on like pretty good figures, and that's where these cuts come from, isn't it? Why are we paying this guy so much when we're not really seeing him as a main eventer or his ceiling any higher than this? You're almost better being on a lower contract and just coming and doing your thing every week and not
on being... on a row on the spreadsheet so low that when Nick Khan is scrolling, he can't find your name. Maybe that's where, until now, Apollo Cruz has been hard. And there probably is, like, just a nice, mushy middle to it to be in.
And I think it was clear that release when we had, you mentioned, Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, Nia Jax, all, like, big world champions, been in big stories. Like, say what you will, whether you're a fan of their wrestling or not, they were big characters in WWE. And you just got to think that cost-cutting, they're the ones you're looking at, right?
Yeah. That's it. And if you're moneyballing, yeah, that's going to happen, isn't it? No matter how much. Again, and that's the kind of thing I want to underline as well. Like I mentioned Nick Khan there. I think a lot of people are going to lean that way on it, but probably what happens here, to your point, is like, you know, a spreadsheet is given to Triple H. These are the people making this amount of money. We need to save this total amount of money. Pick some names and make no mistake. He'll have picked these names. He'll have pointed these people out. It won't be Ari Emanuel doesn't know who Aleister Black is, but Triple H does. And yeah, at the end of the day, the buck stops with him.
And Zelina said on her Twitch feed, like, they don't know how to write for these supernatural characters. And that probably is, there is probably an element of truth in that as well, where Triple H is looking and going, we're paying these guys this much. Like, they're on the list. I don't know what to write for them. My team doesn't know what to write for them. So let's get rid. But someone they have been writing quite a lot for what seems like the last 6 months, this ongoing story with Io and Asuka, Kyrie Sane, a favorite of ours at Poisonrana. She's even part of our set. We've got a Kyrie Sane cardboard cutout as part of the set, but Kyrie's been released, which this one's a bit of a shocker, I think, considering the big Io Asuka story that's going on and her being a prominent part of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the big, like, she's literally in the middle of this. Again, it's kind of the two sides of Triple H, isn't it? Like, if he's the one booking this stuff and he's the one wanting to utilize them on TV, you can understand being a Kyrie Sane and being surprised, because it's not like, on Raw this week, they settled that story or found a way to conclusively write it off. It's just going to be seen missing now, isn't it, going forward? But I would say she's the one that, like, she's got the best chance, hasn't she, of getting R-Truth back? Like, there has been a little bit of an uprising, hasn't there, on Twitter and hashtags going and such like that. I probably don't expect it to be successful, but that is going to happen when it's somebody who's relatively well utilized, relatively well pushed, and relatively well regarded. Really, like, that's got to be an odd one. Like you say, is she on more money than other people in the same position? Are they just looking at it like, well, we don't need 3 women in this story, we'll just we'll boil it down to 2? But yeah, I feel like there's got to be something underneath this one. Otherwise, I think this is the one they're going to get the most blowback from the hardcores on, and the most pushback to bring back in 6 weeks, like it never happened.
The thing that I never understand is the terminations, as we know it, are like 3 months, 90 days, non-compete. Like any other TV show you watch, and there've been, major falling outs with actors in a show, with the showrunners and stuff like that. And like, I'm thinking, just one off the top of my head, there was one of the main characters in Desperate Housewives had a massive fallout with the showrunner, and they killed her off. They still wrote her off and gave her scenes to act out and play off the end of her story, with her contract being terminated. It wasn't like the housewife showed up one day and they're like, "Oh, where's such and such? Oh, we don't talk about her anymore." You have 3 months. You have 3 months where you're still employing Kyrie Sane, where she's still being paid. She's still under contract. Why can't you finish this story? Because we're going to get Raw on Monday, and there's going to be a weird moment where Io and Asuka, they don't even mention their name, but they look sad. And we see this on NXT all the time, where characters leave, and, it's been part of Tatum Paxley's story, where she goes, "Oh, everyone leaves me." Who leaves you? Name them specifically. "Oh, I can't say their names because they don't work here anymore." Like, I don't understand. Like, I get it's like maybe a bitter pill to swallow for the talent, where it's, "Oh, you're firing me, but you want me to show up to work." Like, I understand that, but you are also still being paid to do your job. And especially in this situation where, Kyrie is like very close with Asuka and Io in real life, wouldn't she want to like do something to help put over the story and put over her friends in it? I find it weird, because no other show, like, imagine you're watching like Game of Thrones or whatever, and Jon Snow just doesn't show up anymore and no one talks about him. You'd be like, sorry, wasn't he a key character in this show? Like, why haven't we written him out? What's happening here? And I know we're in our like wrestling podcast bubble, and everyone who like listens to us are in that bubble as well. And we're reading the news sites, and we see reports from Fightful and Post and all the like. But there are some people that just watch this show and don't know any of this. They just tune in on a Monday. They watch the show from 8 till 10:30. They turn it off. They don't really think about it. And they're going to go, "Sorry, where's Kyrie? Like, what happened? Did Asuka kill her? Like, what happened?" It's so bizarre to me.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, isn't it, where like wrestling's like, it is in a lot of ways, as much as we love it, the stupidest medium too. And I think maybe it's a historical thing. It's like that. I don't think you get it as much now, depending. And there was a bit of it in the lead to Mania, but like that lack of respect for the audience that's kind of historically there, of like, whatever, we'll hand wave that and we'll move on. That you don't necessarily get, in most TV shows. I guess the thing that you could say in wrestling's favor is you can't exactly recast, can you, like you can in TV shows, where that does happen, but it's usually season to season. But maybe that's part of it too, that like you say, wrestling is a live thing that's constantly coming each week, and there is a current news cycle. And most of the time, if this happened in TV, it would happen, and then the show would already be recorded by the time we got the news or something like that as well. But at the end of the day, I think it just all boils down to just wrestling being wrestling, doesn't it? And just seen as this stuff doesn't matter. It's like, go back to like the worst Vince McMahon years and like the bad old 2010 days. Like, he didn't know what was going on from week to week. He didn't know that two wrestlers he wanted to book against each other had feuded 18 months before, because he didn't care, and therefore he thought the audience didn't care. I think there's still a holdover of that and an attitude of that where it's like, fine, we'll deal with it and we'll move on, and no one's going to ask questions maybe in the way that they might in other mediums.
It just feels like you know when there's like a show on Netflix or wherever that you've been considering watching and you're just about to start, and then someone tells you, oh, it got cancelled after season 2 and then they never wrapped it up. You're like, well, I'm not going to invest my time. No matter how fantastic season 1 is, why will I bother if I don't know the end of the story? And it feels like that. Why should I be invested in any stories you're telling me when next week it could just be killed cold with no mention of it? It's very odd to me. So what do you see? Do you see Kyrie maybe being R-Truth, Drake Maverick back, or could you see her in an AEW perhaps?
I think she's the best bet out of the list. If like history wasn't history and Tommy End wasn't Tommy End, I think you might have seen him working his way back into AEW with a higher probability than I think it is. I think that's like down at about 10%, but I think with Kyrie, like I think it's almost 80-90%. I think they will, whether it's as a recurring character or with a big debut, or like I said earlier, like a collision match or a one-off Dynamite match against whoever the champion is at the time. Like Tony Khan, likes good wrestlers. And she's a good wrestler, and she'll be available. And most good wrestlers in the world, you've got a little bit of, especially if you've got a little bit of exposure in, America, and you are somebody who's been a TV star before. He's gonna find something for her, isn't he? At some point, it's just the question is more for me, whether it ends up being a real contract or something like that, or a guest spot. And I probably lean more guest spot than the full contract, but it wouldn't surprise me either.
She had an interesting run because, like, I was such a huge fan in NXT. I thought she was the best babyface in the company at one point, and then she voluntarily left and did her stuff in Japan, came back, and it seemed like she took a lot of time to find her footing again. She didn't quite look as sharp as she used to. I think she actually started finding it again recently. So being in there in an AEW and being with the right mix of people, and not having those WWE shackles, I'd love to see what she could do. Have her be the person that attacked Tony Storm. Have her come in. Have her come in and be all pally with Mina. And I don't know if they have history, but they're Japanese, so just make it up. Like it's wrestling. And then she's the one maybe with Shida who took out Tony or something. I don't know, but I think there's room for her there, and I think could be very beneficial to that division.
Yeah, definitely the most likely on this list. Like I say, Nikki Cross is somewhere down here. She's somewhere up here. Like it's happening. Whether it's this year or next, that's probably more the question.
Who else do we have? Main roster, we had Alba Fire. I don't think this is a massive surprise, really, especially since Piper Niven left. I don't think the Slagents really added much to Chelsea Green's presentation. I think Chelsea's fantastic, and I think she's great on her own. And Alba Fire, Kaylee Ray, great wrestler, but I was kind of surprised that they went with her as much as they did in WWE, because doesn't necessarily have that WWE look, and especially when they're not really letting her wrestle, which is what she's good at. I don't think this was overly surprising.
It was always good. Always a death knell, isn't it, when they do that? Because, I feel like, again, I think Robert said it on Twitter, like Nick Khan's looking at spreadsheets going, do we really need referees? Like, can the wrestlers not count themselves? Surely we can make a save in there. That's how their brains kind of work over there. And he's, again, giving another list to Triple H to tick off. Again, I felt the same way when Aaron Piper were like, the bodyguards in the suits and stuff. It's like, kind of being paid to do this, and there's 2 of you as well. It does feel like a bit of a waste of wage. And I think you've got to look at yourself when you look at how you're being utilized on TV. It's like there's that small window, isn't there, where when something like that starts happening, that's your window to knock on Uncle Paul's door and go, surely there's something more for me. I think if you accept that as your lot in life, we don't know whether she did or she didn't, but it seems to happen. I'm getting TV time, I can turn up, I get the odd match, it's fine, I'm getting paid a wage. That's when you are on the cusp where, they need to save a few pennies. What real difference does it make to the TV show to get rid? And she is somebody that, you go back to the old BWE days, obviously when me and Martin were doing that, Martin was always very, very high on her, and there is a probably she might be another one that gets a spot in AEW, but maybe somewhere in the middle of the two other women we talked about there. I don't think she's a guaranteed next day signing, but I think she knows enough people there that it could happen. But longer term, like you say, a TNA, a Maple Leaf Pro, an MLW maybe, if again visa dependent, depending on what's going on with her as well. Like there might still at least, she is still a solid, in-ring wrestler, always has been, just hasn't had the chance really to show it in WWE. So I think she could offer something to a roster maybe at that level.
I mean, she was someone I saw maybe having her stick around to be, that player coach role. I could see her being good at. Like, she's definitely someone who can lift. I don't see her being your world champion or anything like that, but she can help people on the way to getting there by putting on good matches and stuff. Chris Elliott in the chat. She'll be a casino gauntlet entrant at All In. That. I could see that. I could definitely see that. What,
use that old ICW theme,
Yeah.
If you'll be dancing in the crowd, mate, throwing glow sticks in the air, I could see that happening.
Absolutely. Apollo Cruz. He's been on the main roster for 10 years. Can you believe it? What have they done with him? But yeah, the former Uha Nation has been WWE a long time. I always thought got called up from NXT way too early. Called up and nothing really in mind for him. He's completely disappeared for a couple of years and then had that US title run and had the Nigerian Nigerian prince or whatever with General Aziz. Went back to NXT and became a prophet. He could see the future. He had a feud with Bron Breakker where they went fishing on a lake. Yes, this happened 2.0. And then, went back to the main roster and done nothing. He tagged with Andrade a couple of times. And it's, I don't think this is a massive surprise here for Apollo.
Yeah. You should sneak one of them in, mate, and just be like at some point in the show. Yeah, remember when Dexter Loomis went back to 2.0 when he was a mermaid? Wasn't it great, Benno? And we sat here going, I guess Davey's saying it, so it must be true. Like, it's funny, like Chris mentions exactly what I was going to say there in the chat about PCW. Were you ever a PCW guy when you were back over here?
I was, yeah. I think I have somewhere a picture with Uha Nation, Apollo Cruz, the Hurricane, Juventud Guerrero, and who was the guy the comedy guy, big British comedy guy, always teased doing a Canadian destroyer and was barefoot and drew his boots on. Madman Manson, yeah. I have a weird photo with the four of them.
I've got the Bizarro version. I've got Scott Hall, X-Pac, Dave Rain, and Paige's Ship Brothers, and me in the middle doing a too sweet. I'm not particularly proud of that one, but I was going to say, those PCW days, like Uha Nation, it's like the second coming of PCW. He
was it just the name? And I mean, I didn't know the Ogdens then, but I'm pretty sure it's probably the Ogdens starting all those. Knowing me, if not them, Ben Corrigan. Uha, definitely. All the chants.
There were so many of them as well. So, I mean, it partially was that, but he was beloved. And I think it also translated when he was elsewhere in the UK. Like, I saw him do Infinite in Liverpool. I always remember, going to the toilet and, he was just in there in his gear, oiling up, ready for the match in, the public tour. Yeah, this is wrestling then, I guess. And he's a dead nice bloke and, always had, that charisma that kind of, shone through on those cards, as well as having the easy chance stuff there. And he was always someone you just looked at him, didn't you? Look at his body, look at his look. He's got a little bit of natural charisma. He can go as well, to a reasonable standard. He's going to be a winner in WWE. And I mean, maybe he is in the game of life. Like I say, he's your example, isn't he? That snuck through for 10 years, despite, creative mostly not having much for him. Like you say, bouncing him back and forth and not really ever getting going with him or taking advantage of what his skills were there. But he's probably the one on the list who can't complain too much. Maybe can complain about the creative, but can you really complain about a decade of employment, especially, when they didn't seem to see as much in him as many of us did going in? He's one of those, isn't he? How many times do you see this where that happens with a guy and then they get released, and it's a big question, isn't it? Is he going to be going, I'll just do some, conferences and I'll make a bit of money? Or is he going to be somebody that's like, no, I'm going to hit the ground running. I'm going to remind everybody, where I go and in GGUSA and Evolve and when I was doing Europe and stuff like that, and be motivated. But he could be someone who's not. He could be someone who just takes that money and, is quite happy that he got 10 years worth of WWE salary to go towards his pension.
I mean, I feel back when he was on the indies and see him at PCW, like it was quite unique at the time to see big men flying around like he did. You know, his finisher, what he'd do, the standing moonsault and then the standing shooting star. Dude. They stripped that back right away in WWE. They were like, it's just a standing moonsault is your finisher. And I think that made him a little less special. And I will say something I think they've got way better at with NXT is sometimes they keep people around and you think, oh, they're ready to move up at this point. But they'll go, well, let's see how you are as a heel now. And I think that's helped the likes of Bron Breakker, Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez, such a natural baby face and incredible in the ring. And they could have moved up way before they actually did. But they went, well, we are in developmental. Let's try and develop you as a performer. You've got the wrestling. Let's see what else you can do. And the heel run really helped her. And she improved on the actual performance side of stuff. And I'd say with the same with Bron Breakker, like he was ready to move up. Like, come on, look at this guy. Why just put him on the main roster already? And they gave him that heel run. And then they gave him like the almost comedy tag team with Baron Corbin, which I think was the best thing Corbin ever did in the company. And I always gave Ricochet a hard time because it's like, we know you can wrestle. Use developmental to develop the shit you can't do. And that's talk on the mic. And look at him now. Like you turn him heel in AEW and he's fantastic. And you wonder if he just had that little run where they went, you're ready. Like you're wrestling. We don't need to tell you how to apply a chin lock. Like, you know how to wrestle. Let's see what else you got here. And I think Apollo is someone who would have definitely benefited with that because he didn't have a character. His character was, I'm a big guy who does a standing moonsault and smiles. Like, we never really got to know who he was. He never really had a serious run on top in NXT. And then was thrown onto the main roster with no direction. And then years later, they start giving him these characters, and it's too late at that point.
Yeah, he's like WWE's Brian Cage, really, isn't he? Like, for all of those same merits and all of that same utilization, whatever you believe, like, the ceiling is for him. But it's funny you mentioned Ricochet there. Like, he is somebody very close with Ricochet. Like, you notice that from, like, social media and their little crew with Tozawa and a couple of others. I think Moose knocked around with them as well. So I'm not advocating for Moose to get an AEW job, but I could imagine Ricochet being somebody who'd go to Tony Khan's office and go, put him with me, make it, instead of it's a threesome, there's now 4 of us, you know, as a stable, and he could do something as like the 4th guy in there in this
he screams Collision, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll offend you. If they sign Ciampa, mate, they'll sign anyone. So he's definitely he's someone I could imagine in all seriousness Tony Khan being a fan of. Like, he was probably there watching Dragon Gate USA and Evolve back in the day. He's probably one of the 15 people sat in a smoky room. Like, he could probably be a fan, or at least be convinced by the stuff he's seen by a Ricochet. So I wouldn't doubt him getting an AEW look.
I feel he might benefit from having that little indie run first, though, or doing more your MLPs or stuff like that, where, you know, it's a shame that Mania weekends come and gone, because that's the prime opportunity, isn't it, to kind of have those matches and remind people, we've been missing out on this guy for the last 10 years, and get a bit of buzz of those like big indie matches before, and build up that stock a little bit before going to an AEW or whatever. I think that's, and then other main roster, we had Motor City Machine Guns. They've got to be AEW bound, right?
They were before, weren't they? That was the plan. And they chose the WWE. I get it, though. Like, I think we said that we were consistent at the time. Like, you understand with the length of their careers, and WWE, most of their careers not being interested, they wanted to give it a go. But just add it to the list of companies that's not taking advantage of Alex Shelley as a promo guy. I still go back to the old ROH days or the TNA days with Paparazzi Productions. Like, you need to maybe give him a bit of direction, but that guy is an underrated promo guy that, in fairness, hasn't shown it for a very long time now. But like at least give them the chance, you know, give those guys the chance to do it. It's just, that's another one. It just felt like Triple H grabbed them because there was a bidding war at the time and AEW wanted them. And then once he had the toys, he didn't want to play with them. And like, they felt easy to book, didn't they, really? Like, you would have to do much more than they did anyway. Just give them some bloody matches on TV and a couple of runs with the belts. And, you know, yeah, maybe we'd have come to this point and gone, yeah, it's a natural conclusion now. It was nice seeing that novelty of seeing them in WWE, but didn't even get to that point, did it?
No, I think one of the worst things WWE's done in recent years is splitting the tag titles again. I think when you had one set of tag titles, the division main event of WrestleMania, didn't it? You had Usos versus Kevin and Sami at WrestleMania 39. And since they've split it, it's just diluted it. And you've got two divisions with three teams at best. And the SmackDown tag division especially has been pretty much non-existent, and that's where they've been. And you had that first run of 3-hour SmackDowns where they were like, right, let's focus on the tag division now and like make that a thing. It feels this time round it's focusing on the US title and having that sort of fill in that extra time of, we'll do a 20-minute match every week, and the tag division's still getting nothing. And I feel if you just unified those belts again, and like you've got with the women's, the belts being defended across both brands and feel a bit hotter, and you can have your Motor City Machine Gun matches on a Raw or SmackDown and stuff. It's creative failing these guys, because why would you not put these guys on TV every week to have, you've got a division with, for a while you had DIY, you had Fraxium, you had Motor City Machine Guns, Street Profits. Like, you've got great teams in there that just are not being utilized at all. But I feel AEW have started to, it was weird. AEW, when they started, they were very much like tag team wrestling company. Really, we're going to bring back tag team wrestling. And it was such a prominent part of the show. You had all these great teams that kind of disappeared. And like when, the Young Bucks were too big a characters almost for the belt. So they're on their own island doing things. And I feel it's started to come back a bit, and they're putting a bit more focus on it. You've got, big teams going for the belts again. And I'd love to see Machine Guns there. I'd love to see them have another match with the Bucks and mix it up with FTR and all that. What do you think is the likelihood there?
Yeah, I think it does happen. I think that's one where if you're Tony Khan, you can be a bit more forgiving and go, all right, lads, understand the point you were in your career. You went for WWE, but now we'll have you. And maybe it won't be quite the run maybe he had planned originally, but you are right. Like, I mean, the AEW tag team division, despite some very good isolated matches at times, has mostly been the dregs. At least from a booking point of view, it kind of was the forgotten toy for a long time. And it's one of those funny things where it's like, I'm not a big fan, as you know, of Kofi and Christian. The Young Bucks have kind of tamed me this year. I've enjoyed them this year, at least in this coat of paint. And to be fair, FTR have as well. But like, that's three big star teams, whatever you think of them, whether you're a fan of all three or not, that like feel like they're the focus of the tag division right now. You could have a fourth, couldn't you? Like, they wouldn't quite be on that level. But from a work rate point of view, you could say they are. But like, from a star point of view, they're not. But they could easily slot in as the fourth team to work with whoever's not working with the other team over the next few months on pay-per-view. And unbelievably, then you've got two big tag team matches on your pay-per-view. All things are possible. I think they fit into that role well in a company where, like you say, it's not starving for talent. It doesn't need many wrestlers. Women's division might be one exception, as you said earlier. I think tag division is the other one, really, isn't it? Because past that, what's the depth chart in the AEW tag division? There isn't much there.
I get the feeling as well with Tony Khan. Sometimes he's like, you deserve to be paid to wrestle. I feel he has that thing. Like, I think the Ciampa signing is one of them. I think he's, you're not necessarily going to come in and be world champion, but he's got that respect for the old ROH crew and that kind of stuff. It's like
black and gold, mate. He was a bigger fan than you and Braden. Like, Tony fucking loves that. He loves that, and like you said, he doesn't love 2010s ROH so much, I don't think, but like core 2005-ish ROH. Alex Shelley was cutting the promos of his life back then. Tony definitely had those tapes.
And then last main roster release, I believe, was Santos Escobar.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you're him, can you be surprised, like, at all? good talented wrestler, little bit of charisma. He's the one on the list you're not going to think of, are you? And then he's going to randomly pop up somewhere, and you're going to go, oh yeah, I forgot he got released by WWE. I thought he still worked there.
Callis family.
Totally. He's going to pop in, or he'll be Brody's new tag team partner or something like that. Like, he will turn up on a Collision, and we all will do a double take and go, hang on, isn't he under the WWE contract? Oh, wait, no, he's not. And he might be the underdog. He might be the one that surprises everybody and gets a good run, or ends up ROH champion or something like that. Again, it's funny, like, I opened this with going, I don't think any of these people should go to AEW, and probably most of them won't, and now it's like, it's probably a case for all of them, isn't it? And that's the case that Tony's going to lean on, so I'll add him to that list as well, but maybe at a lower level.
Yeah, he's, I was a big fan of him in NXT. I think that was the best run he had in WWE. The way they brought him in was great. You had the whole story with who is it? Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde getting kidnapped.
Right, okay.
And at the time, he was in the Cruiserweight tournament as El Hijo de Fantasmo. And then after winning the tournament, removing his mask, revealing the kidnappings was a Scream situation. So they were faking it. So it was 2 kidnappers at a time.
I'm glad I don't remember that. Sounds terrible.
No, it actually, it worked really well. It was a great swerve. It was the turn on Drake Maverick in the final. So sympathetic babyface getting beaten down. And the unit, Legado del Fantasma, was really solid and had a great feud with Swerve in NXT over the Cruiserweight title and stuff. But yeah, main roster, I don't think his charisma seemed to go down, I thought, on the main roster. And when you see like Andrade now, and just that's everything I think Santos showed potential to have. But we'll see. I could see him knocking around the Don Callis family, because why not? But
sticking with Rush, sticking with Andrade, something like that.
Yeah, I think he's still injured at the moment, isn't he? Or just come back from injury or something. But he was a weird one, because they released and then brought him back, I guess, for AAA, but then had the injury. And then Zoe Stark as well, who's just come back from injury. I don't think a big surprise. I feel she was possibly on the chopping block when they got rid of Shayna and what's her name? What's her name? Sonya Deville. Because she was in the team with them, but maybe they didn't release her at that time because she had just had the injury and optics and stuff. But yeah, they've let her go now. That's it for main roster. We did have some NXT. I think the biggest one from mine is, did somebody say Andre Chase? I'm gutted. Will we be saying
not a surprise
bravado in AEW?
I know you guys were big fans of the gimmick at the start, but yeah, feels like we're a long way removed from that.
I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. Like I've had great.
Like, they didn't expect it to get over, did they? And then it did, and then they just went with it for a while. So he carved a little corner out for himself.
Like, I think there was an opportunity at a time to maybe, like, we said the same with the family, the Italians, like, just give it a go. Like, move it to the main roster. If it fails, cut bait. But like, what are we doing here? And I think there was a time where you had Andre Chase, Thea Hale, Duke Hudson, that just give it a go. Will a goofy fake university work on the main roster? Because weirdly got over in NXT, and WWE fans, like, if you give them something to chant, like, they like it. So it might have worked, it might have not. I thought you should have probably given it a chance. But yeah, like, the rest of Chase U had gone. Uriah Connors has now left Chase U. I'm not overly surprised, but he did give us some fun moments there in NXT. Some other ones, Tyra May Steele, I found an interesting one. Not that she's done a whole lot in NXT so far, but she was, I think, LFG Season 1 winner. She's an Olympian, got that, like, amateur wrestling background, which, you know, they love in WWE. They did.
She was the one who said she wanted to come into WWE, wasn't it? She was the one who pitched them rather than the other way around. Is that right?
I think so, yeah. And then had the little run with partnering, I'm forgetting his name now, against Chelsea Green and Ethan Page. And it was the whole Canada USA thing. And the USA decided to cheer Team Canada for that one. I think you could see at least the NXT audience very tired of the let's try and push this person because they're American, and USA rah and not ready yet, and both. And recognizing what great performers Chelsea Green and Ethan Page are and just turning against her. And we really haven't seen her since then. But a bit surprising, especially everything they're trying to do with LFG and, her
doesn't send a great message, does it?
Background,
to the real athletes they're trying to recruit,
Yeah. So I found that one a little surprising. Again, maybe because the Olympic background she's on possibly a little higher contract than some of the other NXT people, maybe. And that's why. And then the other one who's been on TV quite a bit was Luca Crucifino, who was part of the family, the Italian mob at some point, went back to Evolve, has been trying this new gimmick recently. I don't know if you saw it at all, where he's basically a Gen Z raver, and was the vignettes and the promos were kind of quite funny. But yeah, he's been in Evolve purgatory, so I'm not.
God bless him for trying something.
He went from being a lawyer. He was a wrestling lawyer, and would come out, and they used to have him come out basically in the commercial breaks that international audiences on Netflix see, and he was basically a Saul Goodman kind of character trying to give out his card, and was this like crooked lawyer who then got hired by the Italian mob to be their lawyer, like very Breaking Bad, like Saul Goodman being hired by the cartel kind of thing. He then got put into witness protection, and then came back as a Gen Z raver. So good luck to Luca Crucifino.
What a story. Yeah. Who knows what's next?
Man, you're missing out so much on NXT, Benno, here. But
again, that could be the made up one. I'm not sure, but it sounds true. It sounds real.
And then the rest, some names we don't see a whole lot of. Chris Island, Dante Chen, we've seen do the occasional job match in NXT, and was pretty over with the NXT audience. I know he was starting to turn heads a bit with his work in Evolve and things like that. Malik Blade, he hasn't been on TV for a long time. Had a pretty fun tag team with Idris Enofe, and then they just seemed to completely drop that. Idris Enofe left last year, so I think the writing was on the wall for Malik Blade. Serena Linton from LFG, never really saw. Trill London, as we mentioned at the beginning. Tyreek Igwe and Tyson DuPont, who were the tag team who were kicking around with Wesley, who Wesley's still a bit of a baffling release. And yeah, that's the list. I can't say overly surprising for most of them, but yeah, a few, like as we mentioned, a Kyrie Sane, a little strange.
Yeah, and that's the thing. As we joke, obviously you guys are the guys for NXT. I always say you guys deserve all the respect in the world for being like the most longest running and best dedicated NXT adjacent podcast, if not the only at certain points during its run, mate. But like, I think that's going to happen though, isn't it? In a world of NXT where like they have got a lot of people competing for TV time on NXT, and like with any sport, there is only so much time. Like again, it kind of ties into this overall like release stuff. It's like I'm not totally inhuman. I do see some sympathy for these people losing their jobs. Not a nice thing, but it's not the pandemic. In the pandemic, I think it was easier to morally shake our fists and go, "You're releasing people in a pandemic when you're making untold profits." They're still making the untold profits, but like any sports team, there are only so many slots, and if you want to see more people in those spots and want to see new people come in, you do really have to move some pieces around. So there you go. There's Soraya's wage paid for on main roster, but I think that's ever more true, is it not? In NXT with you guys covering each week.
Oh, absolutely. And I think from a enjoyment point of view, you need that shakeup. Like SmackDown felt so much fresher this week, and I think just the excitement of some of these call-ups that are going to happen, it's going to freshen the product up. You need that, and if you're bringing people up, you need to let people go. You can't, you'll see it the other way where you have the people being like, "Oh, I'm in jail because I'm just in catering every day and not being used." So it's cut bait. I think it's shitty. I don't think these contracts are worth anything. Like you can promise me fucking 20 million a year for 5 years, but if you cut me after 90 days, it means nothing. So that's where it gets my back up. But yeah, I think from me as a fan, I do kind of a little bit get excited about these releases because I think, nice, the product needs freshening up and we're going to see new faces. And well, that brings us to our next thing, which is WWE Call-ups. Had a bunch announced this week, starting with Ethan Page showing up on Monday Night Raw, taking on Javon Evans, reuniting a bit of a feud there. Like, I think both Ethan Page in particular, he's been ready, I mean, pretty much since he was signed by WWE to be a main roster guy. But he's been invaluable in NXT. He's really been the glue in that men's division, which women's division in NXT, fantastic. Men's struggling. And Ethan Page has been the one bright spark and has really surprised in certain moments in NXT. So I think he's been great. Like he's someone that everything they've thrown to him, he's managed to knock it out of the park. He's had that great North American title run, the stuff in AAA. I'm really excited to see what Ethan Page does on the main roster.
Yeah, he's somebody, he just gets it, doesn't he? Like, you know, I'm obviously more, as you can probably tell from my comments so far, more of a type to enjoy like an AEW and want every new wrestler to be the next Kenny Omega or the next Will Ospreay. But in a world where that was the case, and probably going back further, obviously, than Will Ospreay, but certainly Kenny Omega, Ethan Page was never one of those guys on the indies. He was your ready-made for WWE TV guy. I'm not saying he's on that level. He isn't in any way, but I always felt that way about CM Punk back in the day. Like, he was the guy on the indies that could cut promos, did American TV style matches for a lot of the time, and at least American TV style feuds, you could absolutely say. And Ethan Page was always that guy again. Even go back to Evolve, going back to his Darby Allin feud. Yeah, maybe that was a little bit more grounded in matches, but it was more so grounded in character. And that's what he's always been. He's such a better fit for the WWE system than AEW. And I think he had a quite low ceiling in AEW. I don't think on main roster WWE it's necessarily like he's going to be world champion or even upper mid card, but I think a comfortable life as a mid to upper mid card guy, and then who knows where it goes from there. I think he's somebody this might come back to haunt me, but I think he'll be somebody who'll be around for a long while to come. He's going to be a valuable player somewhere in that mid card. I wouldn't get crazy with it, but I think like a Miz type lifer isn't out of the question with Ethan Page.
I was going to say Miz, LA Knight, like that level where, you know, reliable hand, if you will. I think higher ceiling than the Miz, I would say. Like, and certainly his wrestling, I enjoy more. I think something that really impressed me with him in NXT is whenever he'd have any kind of no DQ plunder match, which, you know, in WWE, it's cool. Here comes the kendo sticks. Here comes the trash cans. And he'd always find a way to be quite creative. And I think he's always been like quite a violent guy. Like, you think of the Darby matches, the way he'd throw him around. And he kept that in NXT and was able to put on these like hardcore matches that would be a little bit more creative than the regular WWE stuff. But his promo game is fantastic. And I'd kind of like to see him in there, like have a little mini, even if it's just a TV feud, a little thing with the CM Punk or something, just to like show everyone what he's capable of and how he can hang with these guys. I'm a little disappointed. I did enjoy the stuff going on with Ricky Saints and the Vanity Project, who at some point I'd love to see them put them all together on the main roster, because I don't know if you've seen the Vanity Project yet, but they are probably the best thing about the men's division in NXT, and they are so young, and all three of them are, you know, they do have a wrestling background outside of WWE beforehand, and just naturally very, very funny, and worked off this guy so well in NXT. So once they're ready, I would love to see them put that unit back together, because I think that has a very high ceiling on the main roster.
Oh, fair.
Other call-ups we had Fatal Influence making their debut on SmackDown this week. And I think this couldn't have really gone any better as far as call-ups go. I don't normally like the, you know, non-finish, but I think doing it on SmackDown in a match I think people kind of excited to see Paige wrestling again. And she's in there with Charlotte and Alexa, who are pretty popular with that WWE audience. And Fatal Influence showing up and taking that match away from the fans got them great heel heat immediately. And yeah, and then continuing that with Rhea later in the night. I think Jacy Jayne has been someone who really stepped up in the last year with her NXT title run. And Fallon Henley, I've always been high on. I think she was underutilized in NXT. Lainey Reed, like, possibly not ready. Like, she's pretty new, but she's a bit of a prodigy as well. Like, for someone who hasn't been wrestling that long, I'd say her and Kendall Gray are the two that have really picked it up quite quickly. And I don't think this debut on SmackDown could have gone any better with the three of them.
Oh no, and like that's the thing, you know, as you say there, like I think you want that connective tissue between NXT and main roster, and you want it to be a world where, you know, when they get to main roster, the crowd reaction follows and things that get over follow. And you couldn't. It was like Dominic Mysterio was out there, like the heat that was here, like, and it was, you know, people buying into the character work, and that's credit to them, credit to the promo as well, which was strong as well. Like that's, you're getting setting them off to a flyer there as far as getting them on TV. And like you say, that has happened in the past where, you know, acts have gone to the main roster and you get crickets, and like not the case here. And actual heat is rare to come by in WWE. So like if they can take that on momentum wise, like it makes sense why they bring all three of them up together.
Like I'd strap them up like pretty quickly. I think, you know, Paige and Brie Bella, it was a nice moment at WrestleMania. I think they've done a great job with the women's tag division, actually. I think it's stronger than the men's division. And I think since it was smart being, you know, we don't have anything for Charlotte in the singles division right now, so let's put her in there. And they did the same with Rhea and Io and stuff. So the women's tag felt like a lot stronger than it ever has. Brie and Paige, great moment. I don't think we really want to see them wrestle as a tag team too much.
It's balanced too, isn't it? You got a lot of that right now. A lot of, I remember when, like stuff, especially with AJ knocking around as well. You need like fresh injection of talent like this. So perfect time.
And I think Fallon and Laney cutting that run short, like it only baby faces Paige and Brie a bit more, because you have the fans wanting that tag run to have lasted longer, and therefore they're sympathetic. It puts these two over as heels, and like even JC beating beating Rhea, like you can do it in a shady way, and Rhea can chase that title and get it back at a SummerSlam or something. But I think it will do a great job of establishing these three as a force on SmackDown that the rest of the division are now chasing. I thought that reaction on SmackDown was great, and JC has, like, she always felt like the third wheel in Toxic Attraction. You know, you had Mandy Rose leading it. Priscilla Kelly had a bit of a name before WWE, certainly a bigger name than Jacy Jayne did. And JC just really stepped out, and I think was a bit of an unsung hero in NXT for the last year. Like, she was putting on pretty solid matches in the women's division, and Fallon is definitely capable of that as well. So I think this, solid call up on night one, and I'm excited to see what they do with them.
Sure.
And then we had the announcement of Blake Monroe, the former what was her name? Mariah May, will be coming to SmackDown as well.
I was wondering whether there might be another announcement with her name on it. I was just starting to. It felt like it would be against all logic, and it felt like she was definitely going to be, you know, about to be in that next list of being called up. But it wouldn't have shocked you either, would it? If like the headlines we all woke up to as Aleister Black was might have to head back to AEW, and guess what? She might as well. It felt like a real teaser inside WWE run. Like, it has felt like she was a spiked signing and felt a little bit unloved, at least from the Triple H side. And like, I don't know, like, again, you guys got your eye on the ball with NXT a lot more than I do, but like, I could have seen her down there for another year, another 2 years, you know, just to fuck with her as much as anything, because it honestly felt like that might be the case. But We all saw it in AEW, what she's got. She had my feud of the year last year with Toni Storm and one of my matches of the year last year as well. And if she can put that together again on main roster, she can be a real factor. But like I say, it just says everything really that it really could have gone either way with her for me. And yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised if, like I say, we woke up and she hadn't been called up, she'd been sacked instead. Mad one.
Yeah, it's a really weird one. Like that, the Hollywood ending was one of my matches of the year. Like I thought it was fantastic. But and the character work, the story and everything was great. But outside of that Toni Storm feud, what has she done? And certainly she's underwhelmed in NXT. You know, there's
from a territory run AEW, wasn't it? It was like in and out and not let anybody see the negative. Like if she'd have stayed another year, maybe we all would have gone, oh, that was Toni Storm smoke and mirrors. Like she actually, she was wise in not giving us the chance to see that, unfortunately. Like you say, seeing it in NXT instead.
And, you know, they've tried to tap into the, you know, the woman from hell. They've kind of alluded to the Toni Storm feud a few times. But again, you've got those shackles of WWE. She can't go out there and scatter the ring with glass and bleed and all that. So it's, you know, she's sprinkling cubic zirconia on the ground and, you know, these plastic diamonds that she's using and stuff. And it's just, it's plastic. Exactly. Like it is that. And there doesn't seem a lot of depth to her character. And I wonder about this one. I don't necessarily think the move from AEW was the best idea. And there's a lot of women, and there's a lot of, you know, I know she's a babyface at the moment, but turn Tiffany Stratton heel, and that is Blake Monroe. You know, it's the same kind of character. So I'm very curious about this one, and being put on SmackDown, where you've just called up Fatal Influence, who are similar kind of heels. You know, that bitchy I'm better than you heel. Like it's
and that's kind of the big problem with it, isn't it? Because like you say, that I'm willing to admit when I was wrong. It does happen from time to time on podcast. I would have advised her to go to WWE. It felt inherent, didn't it, that would fit her better. She's a WWE star performer, and look how great she was in AEW. But in AEW, she was different, wasn't she? In AEW, she was the one of one doing that act. She's not been that in WWE, and she won't be that on main roster, to the point that I wonder whether it's all a setup. And like they just want to embarrass her on TV, and they want her to, you know, maybe fail just to almost prove a point or something like that. Like that is where I worry about her as well. But yeah, it's not the way I saw it going, but it's played out the way I think a lot of people in AEW felt like maybe thought it might go.
And then Ricky Saints is going to be debuting on SmackDown next week as well. Ricky Saints, I think, kind of had his start of his run was similar to Blake Monroe, a little underwhelming. Then the heel turn came, and I think that's exactly the role he should be. I think that's when he started to thrive. Take that awful rock concert impersonation aside, he's been a lot more entertaining since being a heel. And yeah, coming to SmackDown, where do you see him fitting in, and will he be interacting with Cody?
I mean, that's definitely happening, isn't it? In some form, even if it's a little Easter egg or a nod or something like that. So maybe just that, like a backstage segment or something. But like, I want him to succeed. Like, I liked Ricky Starks in AEW, and you know, not everybody on my podcast shared that opinion, but I've always kind of willed him to get somewhere. And he had those isolated moments, you know, with Danielson, with Punk, who was another one who'll probably look after them on main roster as well. And like you say there, you know, yes, everyone's going to point at the Rock concert and go, see, told you he was always a budget Rock, but I still think there's something there. I think you do see it in his, when he gets the mic, you know, in his performances there. He does have, it's not, again, he's another one, isn't he? Like we always say this on Grapple, not everyone's a main eventer. Not everybody's going to main event WrestleMania every year. You get people who are just good, you know, you get good character actors in films. You get, you know, people who can fit a certain role. I think he could be, again, a nice mid-card act, whether it's maybe even as a bit, if you got Ethan Page filling in on the heels, you know, babyface maybe more long-term, might be for Ricky Starks there as well, but like Ricky Saints there, but like, I think his promos will carry him to a certain level. I think his in-ring is good enough that I think it'll carry him to a certain level. And I think he's one that I'm kind of bullish on being fine and getting a few years out of it, but I don't want to be wrong on that one either, especially on the Grapple side, because you know there are some that have always had those same critiques about him. But I don't know. I think there's something.
I feel there are so many wrestlers where once the Miz finally leaves the company, they might have a spot. You know, like
no, it's like when
Ricky
Vince went and it was like, we can't replace him with one person. It's got to be Triple H doing creative and Nick Khan doing that. Miz is going to go and it's going to turn out they need 10 wrestlers to fill all the different roles that the Miz was doing. And we're all going to go, oh, fucking hell, he did that as well.
You know, like Ricky Saints doing a chat show, like Miz TV sort of thing. You can see that, can't you? Yeah, I like Ricky. I think he is a good promo, and I think his wrestling can be good, but I think it's some fresh blood on the main roster. But I think maybe not a great idea being on the same show as Trick Williams, who
true.
You know, is a kind of a Ricky Saints, but better, as in just the flashy clothes, the good promo, the presentation, all that. He might feel a little below that, but we'll see if you know, have him. I always like debuting against someone big. So like going toe-to-toe with Cody in a promo for his first week or something. I don't know. But yeah, I
like
could
the
see
Rock
it
and
going...
Jericho. And then he's working Road Dogg 3 weeks later.
Platt in the chat is saying lower mid-card jobber within a year. Like I could see that as well.
See, there's
like
the grapple people.
It's... Yeah, and do we have a Aleister Black situation at 6 months to a year from now where maybe that bridge is burnt with AEW and you're going, what's next for Ricky Saints? One last call up was Joe Hendry, who's debuting on Raw next week.
Yeah. I don't get any value out of Joe Hendry, I'm afraid. It's funny though, because I enjoyed repetitive jokes with Danhausen, but for some reason I don't enjoy them with Joe Hendry. Maybe if it's his in-ring as well. I've always felt he's got 2 left feet as far as that goes. But despite my take on it, he will be a success, won't he? Like, it's a surprise it's taken this long from, obviously, the Mania appearance last year for it to come round. Like, the crowds are going to go mad for it. The spot's going to get over every week. He's going to sell a load of T-shirts. So, like the Danhausen haters, maybe I'm going to have to eat some crow on this one.
For me, the gimmick wore off in WWE before he even signed with the company. He was doing all those appearances as a TNA. Yeah, he did all the appearances as a TNA wrestler in NXT. Obviously, he had the WrestleMania match, but it's the concerts he's done in NXT have not been good. Like, I think his maybe WWE Shackles or whatever, but I think lyrically stuff he was writing on the indies and things were way funnier than stuff he's come up with here.
Common question.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the crowd will like him for a bit, but I see this running its course pretty quickly.
It's like Ricky Saints. Like, Ricky Saints is heart over head with me. It's almost the other way around with him, though, because like with Joe Hendry, it just feels like all the veterans just love him, don't they? It's like, because they haven't seen that stuff, maybe. You'll get like a JBL in a random interview going, you know who's the future of WWE? Joe Hendry. Like, he's got so many backers, it feels like, in important places. Or
Mark Henry saying places. He should have been Cena's last match.
That's the other one, yeah.
Did you hear that creative he suggested? That Joe Hendry comes out after Cena loses to Gunther and goes, no, I'm not having my career without having a match against John Cena, and lies on the mat, allowing Cena to pin him.
I forgot the lies on the mat.
Oh my God.
There you go. You shouldn't listen to the talking heads, folks. Listen to us instead.
Yeah. I think that's it for WWE Call-ups. I think definitely it's Fatal Influence I'm most excited about, and Ethan Page. I think they could both do really well. Jury's out on the others. Did you catch much from Raw and SmackDown this week?
Yeah, I watched all the Raw on Monday. I've seen SmackDown as well from Friday. Yeah, Raw was better than SmackDown. Is probably what I'd.
Raw was better than SmackDown.
Some interesting stuff.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting us to go to this Roman Reigns Jacob Fatu feud so quickly, and obviously not being confirmed yet, but that is going to be the Backlash match. What are your thoughts going into this? The story, the reuniting of the Bloodline. We're doing Bloodline drama again. Will Jacob Fatu acknowledge Roman? What are your thoughts with this?
That's the negative of it, but the positive is that it's Jacob Fatu in this big role. Like, that is a massive positive coming out of WrestleMania season. He was, and Drew to an extent, like the big loser coming out of the what the fuck are they doing with the WWE title situation going into Mania. And, you know, there was talk, wasn't there, at one point of a 3-way, a 4-way, or something with him involved. And obviously that didn't materialize. I didn't really think the Drew match was up to much at Mania, but the positive coming out of it, he was put over strong. And now they're getting going with him, and like, yeah, this feels Gedo booking. Like, I think if it was New Japan, Gedo would put him over, and he'd have like a mini world title run, but it wouldn't be the real world title run, and we'd circle back around to him as a main eventer. I think just putting him in there with Roman Reigns on a pay-per-view is enough to signify, no, we're serious about Jacob Fatu, and he'll carry it too. Like the material, yeah, not loved it. Raw, SmackDown, like all the lads getting involved, like the Usos just feel like spare parts at this point. Never mind the MFTs on SmackDown, and again, telling that repetitive, you know, I know some love it, Bloodline story over and over again, but I think he will rise above that material. If anything, I just want to see him and Roman. I want to see them go back and forth, mine some history with them too, give him time like they have this week, you know, more time, but more of it on promos, as his catchphrases are massively getting over now as well, aren't they? And like, he is just somebody's a flowback. He feels like, you know, like his uncles and like, you know, some of the other Samoan wrestlers back. He's got that natural charisma, but he's got something modern about him too. It's the way he talks, the way he carries himself. Like, there's just something cool about Jacob Fatu, and that's been the case since he was in MLW and, you know, doing other stuff like that. Like, he's felt can't miss. It's felt like they almost missed for a little while, and now they've gone, no, we're going with it. And I think this is going to be the year for him. I want to see him. I want to see him stick the landing, though. I want to see him in an important match like this time next year when it comes to WrestleMania. He's someone who should be in those real conversations and not a spare part on the side.
Absolutely. Like, I'm excited about him being in this mix, and kind of excited what a match with Roman looks like, you know? Like, I think that WrestleMania match, Roman showing he can put on good matches when he wants to, and I think, you know, going in there against his cousin Jacob, exactly, wanting to put on a good match with Jacob there. And Jacob, I mean, definitely more talented than Jey Uso when it comes to in-ring. So I like the idea. I like pushing someone new into that position. Going back to Bloodline lore, like, I know people lap it up, and I've been a fan of it in the past, but it does feel creatively lazy. It feels a bit like, you know, in AEW when they're like, oh shit, we're in trouble, put the belt on Jon Moxley. You know, it feels a bit like that. Like,
oh, kidnap some people.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, let's just go back to the Bloodline. I've seen suggested, you know, the Usos actually join Jacob to take on Roman, or I don't necessarily see that happening, because that would put Jacob as a heel, and I think they want to ride this babyface wave at the moment. So, but do you see the Bloodline maybe turning heel again with Fatu acknowledging Roman in this loss?
It's plausible, but I hope not. Because like you say there, the Bloodline has its fans, and I'm not talking to anybody specifically, but like, I almost think if you are a fan of the Bloodline story, you should probably let it be. You don't need it. This is not Godfather 2, is it? It's Godfather 3. We don't need Godfather 3. Like, we found out, like, we don't need to do this again. I think it will be diminishing returns, and I think it'll diminish the overall, like, memory of it. That's kind of my prediction on it. So I'd prefer not. And I prefer, because the thing about Jacob is as well, and you saw it on Raw this week and saw it on SmackDown too, like, he's so comfortable in his own skin right now. And there's been points in his WWE run where he's tried to be about 3 different things. He hasn't been sure, especially when he was a heel, like what, you know, how he was supposed to wrestle compared to how he talked, compared to how he carried himself. It all feels like one package right now. And I think that would just be a hat on a hat, to quote Rich Fan, that would kill it for me. I don't need it. I don't need him to go that direction. I think let him be Jacob Fatu, let him work out even further what Jacob Fatu is in WWE. And yeah, you don't need fucking mid-card Jim and Big J with him.
Almost, I feel the best thing is how, I mean, I can't see Jacob winning this match. It would be great if he does, like, it'd be awesome. But having Roman, like, you know, now Roman's a babyface, like, Jacob earns his respect even in loss, and Roman allows him to be his own man. You know, it's like, you don't have to you don't have to acknowledge me. You don't have to be in the blood. Like, a splitting, like, I don't know. It's interesting though. I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame this match is Backlash. I'm excited to have new people in the mix, but it's
very soon too, isn't it?
The event after WrestleMania is always difficult, isn't it? And this is typically like the Kane or Big Show role, isn't it? New champion, like let's just squash someone who we can heat up for a few weeks. And Fatu, you almost wish it was an event where you could see him potentially beating Roman, like a SummerSlam or something.
Yeah, but maybe that's evidence that it's a longer term plan, rather than just 3 weeks and we're done. With the like I say, with the pay per view being so soon, you'd think this is chapter 1 rather than one and done.
And then I guess some of the other stuff was the Cody and Punk interaction on Raw. Cody kind of saying a whole load of nothing this week, really. Like no Randy in sight, just coming out, calling Punk a loser, and he feels like a loser as well. And I don't know, when do you see this match happening? Is this just foreshadowing for next year's Mania? Do we see Punk and Cody happening before that? Maybe SummerSlam, or what did you make of that segment?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was Cody versus TKO we were building to based on the SmackDown promo, but yeah, like I could. SummerSlam feels like a good bet. Maybe it's just me being a mark, and just not want, because this is a match I wanted in AEW, we never got. Where they're doing it, in WWE very clearly at some point, but the mark in me doesn't want it to be WrestleMania next year. Like, as a Saudi match, sounds like the worst place to do it, especially with these two strengths and the emotion that you'd hope that we brought to it if one of them turns, or even if neither of them do. You'd imagine this will be a meaty story that pretty much my two favorite wrestlers in WWE, and they're both big time stars. You want it to be given the occasion, but if not WrestleMania next year, and just from private hopes, I guess it's got to be SummerSlam, hasn't it? Because they're probably not plotting it for any longer in the future.
Two nights.
I think that'd be a real waste of a match like this.
Yeah, I love that they've teased this. Basically, since Cody's first Rumble attempt, haven't they? They've had the segment before the Rumble 2 years in a row where they're both going for that Rumble win, and they've teased this Mania match, and then you had to go home for Mania on SmackDown this year, and then the fallout from Mania. I do like when WWE does this, when you have these little teases, but it's when the destination is, and SummerSlam being 2 nights, and we'll get into Brock Lesnar in a second. Maybe they feel, yes, this could have been a Mania direction, and it's still something we could do a part 2 at Mania, but we need a big main event, and this is probably the biggest main event that they haven't done so far.
Yeah, that's it. It's the biggest untouched ground, isn't it, really, as far as the 3 big stars in WWE. So, yeah, I didn't think of it that way, actually, with SummerSlam being, especially if, say Brock's not around for it. What else can you do, really? Jacob Roman rematch or something? Cody Roman rematch? Yeah, it might be a signal in that direction.
It's all rematches from that. I can't think of another huge match you can do. This is the last match WWE has up their sleeves right now that they haven't done.
They've got both reasons to do it, haven't they? From a point of view of just, again, it's the Saudi WrestleMania coming up next year, but also for them as well. Maybe they wouldn't admit it publicly, but that will be sneakily the US-based WrestleMania for the next period. So yeah, could be that motivation too.
Chris Elliott in the chat saying, I think they'll have more trouble selling out SummerSlam than a Saudi show where it doesn't matter as much. I think it needs a match like Punk Cody more. And Brock Lesnar. Let's speculate. So, especially if he's not around for SummerSlam, you definitely need a big match. But where do you see this retirement thing happening? Is he done? Was it something he called on the night where he just went, fuck it, I think I'm done now? Is this another work? What are we doing here?
Honestly, my immediate reaction on the night was work, but that's usually my reaction to most things. But it felt that way, didn't it? And obviously the reporting has kind of come out that nobody really believes that he's really retiring. I think the alternate theory actually is the most engaging to me right now. That did he just call an audible? Is Brock doing what Brock does? Over years he's done it, where he's almost bullying WWE into that one big last fat contract. I'm surprised he's not on the phone to Dana White or turning up in the front row of UFC, but I guess that'd be playing TKO against TKO at this point, wouldn't it? But we've seen those tactics, so it's not totally out of the realm of possibility, because I believed it was a work, but if it is a work, so the idea is that he's already retired, but Gunther's going to cash in his favor on Paul Heyman. Okay, I'm with you from that point of logic, but so that he can retire him again.
Retire
the man
him
who's
again.
already said he's retired. Like, doesn't that take the juice out of it happening, out of Gunther getting that scalp? Like, it feels an odd way to get there, doesn't it? Wouldn't put it past them, but it feels like an odd way to get there. So there's that little seed of doubt too, even if it's probably the most likely of the three options to me.
There's a few ways, isn't there? Because it's like people keep on bringing up Brock throwing up the X basically to tell Heyman, like, this is real, I'm done. But then we saw, the worked Seth Rollins injury last year, and that is a detail where you could see Triple H being like, throw up the X and people will really believe it. Or is it just Brock, like maybe SummerSlam was the idea and Brock versus Gunther, and then he has this match with Oba. He sees how over Oba is, and it's like, if I'm going to give it to a guy, why not be this guy? I don't need to do this anymore. It's WrestleMania. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Could have called it. Or it's this.
Might have looked at Gunther and went, you need to eat some pies, mate. I'm not waiting for you. I'm putting Oba Femi over instead. Might have happened.
Maybe. I mean, I think there is something. It is weird doing what you would assume Gunther wins against Brock, and it's two people retiring him. I mean, that's a great way to build for Oba versus Gunther, right? Like, you have the two career killers against each other.
That's true.
But you can also tell that without Brock coming back, you can have Gunther retiring three people and Oba retiring Brock. And I think that's a match that I can see them getting to through this story, is Oba versus Gunther, and Oba being the one to beat Gunther and take that. But so are you leaning on work?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like, when we go through the options there, we believe every single one except for what we saw on screen, like, because that's just wrestling, isn't it? But, like, I would lean work with, I'll just leave that sliver of possibility for, something to do with Brock leaning on contract stuff, but definitely not what we presented, I can tell you that for certain.
Anything else from WWE TV this week you'd like to bring up? I think that's all the main things I took away.
Yeah, pretty much. Not much past that, really. It did feel a little bit like the Raw after Mania is kind of done in here. Like, it's been done a while as a concept, but yeah, it was. We got a couple of decent moments there, a couple of good story beats, and then a lot of questions, really, as far as like the main players go coming out of Mania. So pretty much that, really.
And one last bit of WWE news before we move to AEW is Evil has officially signed with WWE. We did have a bit of a tease on NXT this week. Robert Stone handing a box to the NXT champion, Tony D'Angelo, which had the Japanese symbol for war on it. So is this going to be Evil's new name? Is he coming in as War to NXT?
And then when he gets to Raw, it'll be Raw is War all over again. The t-shirts make themselves. It's got to be, hasn't it? And, like, God bless them. Like, great. Evil going to WWE is like music to most New Japan fans' ears, except for, like, say, when I was out there in Korakuen, there was like a little slither of a House of Torture fan group there. But outside of that, most sane people are just glad to see the back of him. And I guess if this is a way to bring him in, then they could do it, and they'll see, how he fits in the system in NXT. But why have they signed him if not to just do what they must have liked what they saw in New Japan? They must be in that minority. They're like, oh, this is good heat. This is good stuff that Gedo's doing to kill the territory over the last 5 years or so. They're not bringing him in to just repackage him, are they, and give him a completely different gimmick. I think he'll be evil in all but name. But we've all seen how rough that is. Maybe it won't stand out as much in WWE. Maybe in a world where if he gets the main roster, the MFTs exist, he can exist on it as well. But, like, I don't want to see it. Like, I've never wanted to see it. And even with the WWE coat of paint, I'm not sure they can get it right either.
Maybe they just watched his Wrestle Kingdom entrance and was like, yes.
There you go, that's the guy. And the job he did getting Aaron Wolf over as well.
I mean, I would say, like,
nowhere,
I really enjoyed that Aaron Wolf match, and I think you've got to give Evil a whole lot of credit to that. And I think the House of Torture gimmick was so detrimental to his career. Sure, he held the IWGP Championship during that time, but I think his stock with fans drastically dropped. It's not that the guy can't wrestle; like, he's not my favorite wrestler, but the guy can wrestle. But it's been the bullshit that's surrounded him for the last, well, since the pandemic, right? Like it's so like NXT desperately needs men, like top men in there. You've lost Ricky and Ethan, so I think him coming right in and feuding with Tony D'Angelo, and wouldn't be surprised if he even beats D'Angelo and coming in. But it was being said that he wanted to do NXT first to kind of learn, you know, WWE style and that sort of thing, and maybe a quick run in NXT and then join whatever is going on with Tama Tonga and Shinsuke Nakamura and the MFTs and all that, perhaps. But yeah, bit of a weird signing. I can't really see where they go with him, but I'm intrigued to see what the presentation and what his name and all of that's going to be. Yeah. I think that's it for WWE. I'm very interested talking to you about the main event of AEW Dynamite this week, because Darby Allin in his first title defense against Tommaso Ciampa. Has your stance changed with Ciampa in AEW? How are you feeling after, you know, these couple of months? We had the Mark Briscoe match, the Carl Fletcher match, and now this Darby Allin match. What did you make of the main event of Dynamite this week, and where do you stand with Tommaso Ciampa?
Do you think I'm on the way to like a redemption story like I was with Christian, mate? I'm gonna I'm a 10 maybe.
I'm intrigued. I'm questioning. I don't know.
It's one of the as well. I would never say Tommaso Ciampa is a bad wrestler. I would just say AEW has a lot of good wrestlers. It just does, doesn't it? It's stuck with them. He felt surplus to requirements coming in, you know, especially obviously going straight to the belt and all of that came in. But like, I'm also an honest man. Like, that's how I felt going in. He's still not somebody, again, in a world where there are a lot of great wrestlers, that particularly compels me more than others. But has he delivered good performances? I'll admit, yes, he has. He absolutely has. And like, this week was a great example of it. Like, it's funny, I'd seen the tweets about the match before I'd seen her. Obviously, post-Mania, I've been on a little bit of a break until I kind of binged all the TV over the last couple of days or so. So I'd already read, like, he did a tweet, didn't he, saying something like, I found my wrestling soul, you know, a spirit animal or soul partner, whatever he said about Darby Allin. Like, and then I watched the match and it was like, you have, mate, but that's because Darby's willing to kill himself to get anything over. But like, he was good at doing the killing. Bit like we said earlier with Ethan Page, you know, people are good at doing the killing. But like, I can't fault him for his like performances. Absolutely not. I've got to be honest. And here as well, like, he was, you know, he was the other side of the coin, wasn't he? He was the one that was using Darby Allin pretty much as body as a weapon in there, and like delivering the story that this title like run should be for Darby, shouldn't it? Like, it should be him getting, you know, flattened by opponents. It should be him just about like sneaking out. It should be him just about making it through these battles and coming away with a different scar every week. Like, that's a Darby Allin title run, isn't it? Like he said in his promo on the show, like, it should be until the wheels come off, and it's going to be literally, isn't it, with Darby there as well? And yeah, like, for every bit of it, Tommaso Ciampa was with him too, and in making sure that happened, you know, juicing a gusher himself as well. Like, it was mile a minute, like one of the great TV main events.
That air raid crash to the floor,
just fucking
ridiculous.
Christ.
Yeah,
was real. Like, what are we doing? Just like. But it's Darby, and it's all that you can't complain. I've seen that people like, you know, safety police and stuff like that. But it's Darby, isn't it? Like, what can you do with this?
Knowing the injuries that Ciampa has had and doing that.
Yeah, true. He did good selling it.
And you watch it, and they do it as safely as possible. You know, you watch when Ciampa releases him, but you're still dropping just a hard mat there. Like, it's I love this match. I understand your point of view on Ciampa. Like, I don't know necessarily beyond this where you go with him, but I think that's something Tony Khan likes. Like, you know, TV wrestlers, like someone who can go out there and just put on an excellent match on TV. And I think one of Ciampa's gifts is I think he is a great promo and brings great intensity. And just in that episode alone, you had that self-contained story the week before, the whole Darby Allin story. You kind of had this with just Ciampa's promo about, you know, not passing the airport test and not championship material, blah, blah, blah. He built the match up in one episode fantastically. And there's, it's Darby's first title defense. No one's buying Darby is losing this match. And yet I'm watching the match and biting on near falls, which is a testament to them. Like, if I'm suddenly believing, Ciampa could be AEW World Champion here in Darby Allin's very first defense the week after, they're doing a great job. And I give Ciampa a lot of credit for that. And I think I think this is a great story to do with Darby. I don't think anyone's expecting him to have this title for long, but he could, potentially have the most title defenses of any AEW champion in history, just in a short space of time. And it then, rather than, we see other champions in the past who win the title at Mania and have lost it by SummerSlam, and it's been a bit of a nothing run. You just stack this title run, weekly defenses. Like, he's got Brody King next week, right? Where it's then logical. It's kind of what they did with, Orange Cassidy and the International Championship run. You go until your wheels fall off, and Darby then has this sense of pride. Well, I was a fighting champion, and eventually it caught up with me. And I think it's a great way for when it eventually, I assume, goes back to Max. Kind of all makes sense. And I think you've got enough juice out of the Darby Allin run where you won't have people going like, oh, well, he only held the title for 5 weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's funny as well, because like, this is clearly, I was against it. I was against Darby winning the title last year, especially when it was the talk of it being the All-In match, and obviously he went off, did Mount Everest and all of that. But I think this was probably the idea then that we the rest of us just couldn't see that Tony Khan had and wants to go through with it. Because really, what are we going to get? It's like you say, it's going to be probably to the next pay-per-view window. And it's going to be Darby Allin's like entire career, but truncated into these 4 or 5 weeks where he's just going to, over the next, how many TVs there are? 6 TVs? Probably have a title defense in every one and kill himself more and more in every one. And like you said there, he can be in there with a Ciampa, but he kills himself so hard and he sells dead so hard, partly because he's not selling, that you believe that he's going to lose it at any point. And then at the end of it, he's going to, like you say, the wheel's going to come off. And probably what's happening here, and it feels right, you said, about Ciampa setting up, his role in this. I think Kevin Knight's the other part of this, isn't he? And I think the two of them both making challenges on that same Dynamite a couple of weeks ago was definitely on purpose, because now we've got them as like the two secondary characters, where Darby and MJF are the main characters in this story. I imagine them two are going to have a match lower down on the card at Double or Nothing, and MJF's probably going to beat Darby for the title when he's at his most weak, coming off all of these TVs. But it's going to be a fucking great ride going along with it, isn't it? And yeah, fair play. Like, it's not the way I thought it was going to pan out last year, and it's just made for some really exciting TV, and I can't wait to see where they go with it. Yeah.
What did you make of this Kevin Knight MJF thing? And we've got the TNT title match next week, which is, could you see MJF winning this off of Kevin Knight? Like, it's MJF clearly going to be in the world title mix again, but it's kind of interesting that they've gone to this match as well.
No, it's true. I mean, probably not. They'll probably find some kind of creative way for, MJF's on this slump right now, and he finds a way to lose to Kevin Knight, probably Darby related or something like that. But I think it is literally to do that. It's to set up, give Kevin Knight and Tommaso Ciampa, if he is the Kevin Knight opponent for the pay-per-view, that little bit of shine off this main event feud, and they're just in the mix, even if they're not the main players in it. I think that's what it's set up for. I think it's set up for a hell of a TV match. I thought the promo this week on Dynamite was pretty good. It was just a weird kind of juxtaposition, having the two MJF promo segments on the same show. You kind of feel like you would have done, in-ring ones at least, you would have done one or the other, or made them bleed into each other. Maybe they just didn't want to do, the Darby Ciampa match, following on the opening segment. It was a little bit like that was 2 weeks of TV that they've had to truncate into one Dynamite.
Yeah.
And maybe it was written down somewhere as half of it was going to happen on Collision instead. But I don't think the performances were bad. It just felt a little bit weird, a little bit. If you were playing EWR, Sophie, you would have said that you used MJF too much on this show. Like, you would have got that little book of notes at the bottom, repetitive promos.
I like Kevin Knight a lot. I think he's really stepped up, and clearly, like, they see a lot in him and are going to push him hard. I think what was a shame with this promo is he's doing his thing, and then MJF kind of makes fun of, the Jet is going to do this and the Jet's going to do that. And then Kevin Knight continues to say, well, the Jet is going to do this. And it's one of those things that MJF does a lot, where you expose something. And I think
The Rock doing his Diesel impression in it. You know, we all remember it's that funny, but was it a good idea?
Yeah, exactly. And then I think Kevin Knight, maybe that's where his inexperience showed through, because he should have picked that up and being like, all right, lay off the Jet stuff, because it kind of undermined everything else he said. But I like that he's in this role, and I like that he's in this mix for sure.
Yeah. Good time to do it while he's hot. It is. Definitely.
Absolutely. And then we've got the call out from Cope and Christian that they're challenging FTR for Double or Nothing with their tag team careers on the line.
Fingers crossed, mate. No, I don't think it's good. I think they should. I was shocked. Like, the rumor pick'ems, like, I assume they'd be tag champions by now.
Yeah.
Because you can just picture them with the belts, can't you? I just felt like they looked at when Tony Khan had the Redemption or whatever, it was like, oh no, we've got another pay-per-view to fill, so we'll have another FTR match, maybe 2 Young Bucks matches, and then we're all in, we'll do the 3-way. Like, the 3-way ladder match is happening at All In, and I think they'll be champions going into it as well. But, I mean, like I say, despite myself, not a huge fan of Cope and Christian, but I am a huge fan of Stokely and FTR and the work they're doing here as well. Like we said earlier, feels big time, doesn't it, for the pay-per-view, even a rematch here, and it'll feel big time when the Bucks get involved, and long may it continue.
I think this is something you can see Tony Khan trying to pace out pay-per-view to pay-per-view, because I was with you. I was sure, in Vancouver that Cope and Christian were going to win this. And then you go, well, we do have, I imagine we'll have a singles, just a 1-on-1, 2-on-2, Bucks versus Edge and Christian coming up before All In.
Yeah.
So you're going, okay, and then we'll have some random knockout bros or whatever from New Japan or Forbidden Door. So it's you're probably looking at it going like that. And I felt the same with the whole Okada Takeshita thing, because I thought we might be building to a 3-way with Okada, Fletcher, and Takeshita for All In. And obviously Fletcher's out now, but I could see a similar sort of thing, him trying to pace it. Well, we won't do this match yet, because we'll have them as a tag team, and then we'll do this singles match, and then we'll do a Fletcher singles match, and then we'll do the 3-way. And I definitely see that with this. So I think the career stip and doing it so close to Hangman with the stipulation for him, I think it might make people think, oh, maybe this is it for Cope and Christian. But I completely see them winning the titles at Double or Nothing.
Definitely.
And then you mentioned AEW Redemption coming, reportedly July this year. Another pay-per-view between Forbidden Door and All In.
Just to fuck with the podcast, there's this one, isn't it, mate? I've got my whole spreadsheet set out for 2026. Garrett's been called in for another date for us to do another AEW pay-per-view review. Yeah, I guess it makes sense, doesn't it? Like with it's obviously, in America, the max subscribers, and obviously now, did you guys get my AEW now, or is it not in Canada?
We don't know, but we've been using a VPN because
so I'm not funny. So have I. Despite the fact it says available internationally, you'd think it'd be available in Vietnam. It hasn't been, but suddenly it works now. So I'm made up. I don't use my VPN anymore, but I don't have the fast channel. Very strange. But I think part of the subscription to that, and obviously the subscription on the Mac side, is you get a pay-per-view every month, isn't it? So they probably just looked at it, brass tacks, and gone, there isn't a pay-per-view. We leave a big gap because obviously it's the build to All In, but we need to fill something in there as well. But yeah, it's an extra 5-hour pay-per-view for us to all review the weekend after, and I'm sure it'll be good. But yeah, adding to the already stacked calendar with WWE having about 3 shows in June, I think it is.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether this might be another Canadian show, because I know they've done the Canada tour around July, before All In before. And
Owen finals would be perfect for that, wouldn't he? If that was the case.
Yeah, and we've had the Calgary show has been in July, I believe, in the past. But I'm wondering a Montreal or something like that hasn't been done for AEW yet. So maybe I think there's talks of Wrestle Dream possibly being Scotiabank later in the year. Right. But I think with the success of the Vancouver show, which, you know, sold really well, and I think one of the best pay-per-view crowds they've had for a while. I feel, you know, Tony Khan's eased off on Chicago a little bit recently. And I think wanting to have fresher crowds that are maybe a little like BC certainly were like starved of wrestling. And I've even like here in like London, Ontario and stuff, the telling thing is when, you know, Braden and I are at an event and we're having pre-drinks and we're in a bar and we know it's just ROH tapings are going on and no one's in the bar, and the bartender's like, "Are you going to the wrestling? It's already started." And we're like, "Oh, it starts at 8 o'clock." And you realize everyone that's going there are like, "Well, I've got to see ROH first," and all that. Whereas, you know, if we've been to a few, I'll be there 5 minutes before the real show starts. So I don't know. I'm just me theorizing that possibly just looking at the calendar the last few years and where they tend to go, that maybe it might be a Canadian date. But yeah, you saying that my AEW deal kind of makes sense, that they'll start doing a few more pay-per-views. And also their pay-per-views always sell well, right? Like it's TV's been doing better with their audiences and stuff, but I think whenever they just put a pay-per-view in a major city, wrestling fans show up and it does make it feel big time. And I think riding this wave, I think they've earned a lot of goodwill back in the last year, and the quality of the show's been better just week to week. I've really been enjoying Dynamite for quite a while now. They've had quite a great run. Be curious to see where Redemption is. It sounds a bit like a Backlash, doesn't it? It sounds a bit like a fallout show from your big show, like people trying to get their redemption.
Apparently they copyright, did they? A Royal Redemption as a potential, like nobody knows what it's for, but like a Royal Rumble ripoff or something, which made me think, hang on, is that going to be like next year around, you know, the start of the year? No, apparently it is this show coming up. But on a more serious note, like for me, I joke about it with podcasters and like, you know, getting up that next day and whatever it takes to get those reviews in. But I think just from a fan point of view, there is just a slight cautionary tale, isn't it, with AEW, where it's like when the pay-per-views were very special, you kind of go, oh yeah, 6 hours, that's fine. Adding another one here, and presumably, like again, if it's my AEW that's driving this, you know, all the other international deals, probably another January show getting added as well. There might be a tipping point where you might think, Tony, maybe shave half an hour off these shows, but who am I talking about? It's never going to happen, is it?
I've kind of like gotten over that now. And I do think sometimes, you know, podcasters have a bit of a different, especially ones who are going live right after the show. It's That's like, true. Yes, you're still working. Of course you're tired. But I don't know. For me, when I have people over and we get the pizzas and the beers in and I'm just hanging out with my mates watching wrestling. Like I don't mind the length so much, but I have definitely felt that fatigue in the arena at times. I think
it's length plus regularity might be the tipping point.
Yeah. And I still advocate doing those earlier shows, like being in BC, which is 3 hours behind, like the show starting at 5, finishing at 9:30. It's fantastic. Like that's perfect. And when they did it with All Out last year and All In last year being earlier, I think it's definitely better if you're going to be doing these long shows. But I get what you mean with these. AEW like scheduling's weird, isn't it? Because we had those years where you had All In and All Out literally back to back, but then you had Grand Slam like 2 weeks later, which is a big Dynamite, and like it was just all these big shows crammed together, and then you get World's End and then nothing until Revolution. You've got like a 2.5 month gap. It
seems for no purpose, doesn't it? Like this year, it was especially strange. It was like there was no real big TV in the middle. There was no reason for it. They just didn't do a pay-per-view, which you'd think for them, like it'd be easy money.
Anything else from AEW this week that caught your eye?
Just quickly, the Ospreay Mark Davis match, absolutely. That was cracking. Like, and I was, you know, I loved the Moxley match. We gave 5 stars over on Grapple. Love the story him and Ospreay told. And for me, they didn't go too far with the Ospreay neck stuff. I think they told a plausible story where Ospreay stayed in it despite himself. I did think the Hecha Zero match last week I wouldn't have done, especially with Ospreay going over at the end of it anyway. I don't think it was needed for the story beat, but this week was perfect. Like, if this had happened last week, I think I'd be more forgiven. Or if they'd just given Ospreay the week off because he was supposedly dead after the pay-per-view, that would have worked too. But as far as the matches, like putting somebody over, and Davis hasn't really been put over as a heavy in the Don Callis family. What a way to win as well. Like, the referee stopping it because of the pile driver on the apron and Ospreay being dead on the outside. Like, it made Mark Davis look like a killer. Ospreay's selling was unbelievable in this thing. Obviously, it was capped with the Moxley angle with the kidnapping as well, which people's mileage might vary on, depending on the thoughts on Collision last night. But as a standalone match, as a story, as a part of this story with Ospreay coming back from the neck injury, I thought this was perfect TV wrestling. It was a great 1-2 this week with that and the Darby match.
Yeah, just a great piece of work, right? Like, booking wise, it's Mark Davis has been like such a revelation these last few months, and pretty much on TV every week. And I think for me, it was like, I always enjoyed Aussie Open, but, Kyle Fletcher really broke out, and you kind of almost thought Mark Davis might not be long for the company. Just seemed like this bum hanging around. And then for me, it was I can't remember which one it was because they do so many, but it was one of the Casino Gauntlets where he came out and just had like a 2-minute run of pile driving everyone, and it was like, whoa, where's this guy been? And that's translated into TV, and he's had some great matches, hasn't necessarily picked up the wins, but here getting a huge win against one of the top guys in Will Ospreay. But Ospreay's completely protected as well because his story is his neck's fucked. He's broken. So I thought it was fantastic, and I'm so glad they did the referee stoppage, because one criticism, and AEW's guilty of it a lot, WWE does it as well, is when they're pretending like a injury is a shoot injury, and the referee doesn't do a count out and the doc's checking on them. Like, it for me, that breaks the kayfabe rules of wrestling, because the idea of wrestling is you hurt someone enough that you can pin their shoulders to a mat, or they get counted out. And when AEW does it a lot, and I found it funny because Bryan Danielson was going off on commentary about it in the Hechicero match, but Danielson did it every week when he was wrestling, because you go to commercial break and you'd be watching the Triller feed, and they fill a commercial break by Bryan Danielson on the outside pretending to have a seizure because his neck's fucked or whatever, and then it's 3 minutes and no one's counting. Like, that takes me out of it totally. For me. And like, Mark Davis, you saw him, and I like that he was doing it. He was like, why the fuck aren't you counting? Like, I've pile driven him. If he's hurt, like, call the match off. It's a TKO or whatever. Like, so I'm glad they eventually did the ref stoppage, but it's just a trope in wrestling that I really hate, because it's trying to make you as the audience think, oh, this is a real injury. And then they're like, no, it's not. It's just weird for me.
I thought they walked the line really well. I'd say from a realism point of view as well, because I had my criticism of the Hecha Zero match last week, but I felt with Ospreay this week as well, even down to him kicking out of the pile driver in the ring just by desperately, like, was it one limb on the ropes or something like that? I mean, in big matches, Ospreay does stuff like that all the time. So it makes sense that, like, even in this lower scale TV match, you'll do that. But then they had the cake and ate it too, because again, they got to do the ref stoppage on the outside, and Ospreay didn't get up from fucking that, because that was another level compared to, what might have happened to him in the Hecha Zero match or on the pay-per-view. Like, I think they drew the line perfectly in how to tell this exact story and give you a bit of realism that obviously Ospreay often gets criticized for not having in his matches.
I think put Davis in the TNT title picture, a Kevin Knight, Mark Davis match, I'd be completely down for.
For sure.
But AEW, wealth of fantastic wrestlers, and they're on quite the run of just putting on great TV at the moment. I've been really, really enjoying it. I think that brings us to an end. You haven't had a chance to watch the Hulk doc yet, have you?
No, not a chance yet. What am I in for, mate? I'm scared on this one.
I haven't finished it yet. I'm waiting for the episode where they're like, he was a cunt. And I think I'm getting to that point now. I will say he is from what I've seen where I'm on about episode 5, and so far it feels a little bit like one of the A&E docs where it's kind of just going through his career, and some bits timeline wise, I'm like just watching the clips they're showing, and I'm like, wait, that's after that, and that's before that. But it's kind of just not necessarily anything new that I don't know about Hulk's career. From the interview side, I feel he's coming across a little bit more honestly than I'm used to. I haven't even checked online, but I'm not noticing as much bullshitting as I normally do. Obviously, like Bret Hart's on there getting his digs in as always, so that's funny. But yeah, like where I'm up to right now, it's going through, you know, his divorce with Linda and all that, and it's seeming like now we're going to like the dark side of Hulk Hogan, which I'm interested to see how they tackle. But I feel it's going to be one of those things that will come out of it and learn nothing new, but then your friends who have just thrown it on because it's a Netflix documentary and they like Netflix documentaries are going to come up to you and go, did you know he was racist? And you're like, yeah, I did know that, unfortunately. I think it's going to be one of those where it's not, I haven't really learned anything new so far, but still got a couple of episodes left.
Yeah, my stepdad did that when they came to visit me out here. He was like, Jay Hogan died. Oh, it must be devastated, bitch. You and your mates. So I was like, no, me and my mates don't really feel that way. I've got to be honest. So we got the full. You get the real documentary out of me in the car that day. But yeah, it's going to break through. I think in that same way. Maybe not to like the same level, but I'm interested in seeing it from the little clips I've seen and the Billy bullshit lies that the Hogan told. Maybe he saw that Netflix logo and was like, okay, I'll tone down the bullshit a little. It's the big show, you know. I've got to give it my absolute best. So there's a morbid curiosity there. I never actually finished the last season of Unreal, but I will finish this. Like I say, I'm coming up for a busy Mania week, so I took a few days off this week. Got myself to a beautiful Hoi An on your recommendation. So a little bit late getting back to the homework this weekend, but I'll have it probably have it watched before we do another Grapple show. Yeah,
let's close there. How was Hoi An?
Lovely, as you noted, mate. I had a great time. Full of fucking tourists though, and also I did not go to this is Vietnam, by the way, folks. There is a Mr. Bean theme bar in the middle of Vietnam in Hoi An, and guess what? It's full of fucking Brits, and I say that as a Brit. I'm allowed to say it. Jesus Christ, yeah, it was beautiful by day, Davey. Lovely place. Got a couple of great coffees there. Had some great food there. While I was Cow Lao, I don't know if you tried that while you were there.
Oh yeah,
noodle dish. They only serve it there, don't they? Because the water's got to be the right kind of texture or whatever the word is, and the noodles are only made there. Oh, it was incredible. And then at night time, all the fucking tourists came out, and I was like, God, I want to get back to Da Nang. But I'm going to go at maybe a lower season. It's like a big public holiday this week in Vietnam, so maybe it'll be a bit quieter another time. But I'll go for a bit of a longer stretch. Was that your highlight of Vietnam? Did you?
I did. Like Hoi An's just beautiful. Like this old town with just gorgeous lanterns everywhere. Like it's just it's stunning, and especially when the sun's setting as well, it just looks beautiful. And I got a lot of clothes made there. They're known for their tailoring, so went to a tailor, got a suit custom made, got some nice, Ethan Page style shirts, which I like wearing for the summer, some shorts, some smart pants. Like I definitely want to go back to Vietnam, and I think next time I'm going to pack way less. I'm wearing one of my very unauthentic Canada jerseys right now, which just...
Was that from Shopee?
It wasn't. Oh no, I have to apologize for all the Shopee drama. There's a website over there in Vietnam called Shopee, which is, I don't know, what would you say, Amazon, like a Amazon but / like Temu sort of. You have like merchants selling their own stuff, and we were looking for these shoes for my girlfriend, because when we went to Hoi An and she got this like pantsuit made, and they gave her these what they call guok choi, I think they're called, which are these like wooden high-heeled shoes that just like fit the outfit really well. So she goes, oh, where did you get these from? And they said Da Nang. So we're looking around Da Nang for them, can't find them anywhere, going to all the markets. So then we're like, maybe this Shopee thing. So signing up, I order some like Nike trainers and some jerseys and all this sort of stuff, like load the basket. And then you have to have a Vietnamese number for it to work. So I'm then going to a SIM card shop and using Google Translate, and she's trying to set up my Shopee account. And then I need the app, but my app store is Canada. It's not Vietnam, so I can't download the app. So eventually I go through you and like place the order through your account. And it all arrives like 9 hours after I've left the country. So
devastated.
So
Which never happens as well. I don't know what was going. Like usually it's about 24 hours it comes. Maybe it's a Ho Chi Minh City thing because that's where you were. But no, it's all good. I only got one missed call from a delivery driver. Outside of that, it was just a few messages from shops. I mostly just saying that your size was out because that's the other problem. It's all great and it's all cheap, but fuck, you got a lovely pair of white Nikes while you're out there. I can never find my sizes. So when you do, you've got to get it, haven't you? And you took the chance with Shopee and it just didn't quite work out.
I think that's the. It's like I'm risking losing $20 here, and I might get a nice pair of sneakers, or I've got a great gift for someone with smaller feet than me. Right? Like, but yeah, really, really happy with this Canada jersey. Like,
class does.
I wore my new Blue Jays one to work the other day and told everyone it's not real, and they're like, "What?" It looks exactly the same. Although I did get some Real Madrid shirts for work because we're now the official Real Madrid bar. And we noticed on one of the sleeves, the logo is upside down. But, oh, well, what are you going to do?
One of a kind. It works. It makes it part of it. But I knew you'd love Vietnam, not just for the shopper, though. So, boss, but great, you had a great time. Maybe Thailand next time. I could see you like in Thailand as well. Hopefully, I'm going to get back there at some point next year. But I feel proud as a quote-unquote Vietnamese person right now, or at least a resident.
Oh, absolutely. I'm thinking next winter I'll probably do a similar trip and maybe try and get a couple more weeks in so I can see a few other places. But yeah, absolutely.
Hanoi maybe,
Hanoi, I definitely didn't see any of the north of Vietnam, and Thailand is definitely on my list as well. Really good. Nice. Yeah, I've been, since getting back, I've pretty much bought lemongrass and lime leaves and used it in every meal because it's just the food there is just it tastes, it might not be healthy, but it just tastes healthier. That like citrusy freshness that comes to it. It just, it's gorgeous.
Steph did that when she came, when I was in Thailand. She came out and like as soon as she got home, she was cooking her versions of all of the different like Thai meals you get there. And you look at the people; they're all fucking skinny, aren't they? So there must be something in it. So,
doing something
it's
right.
better for you, I say. Yeah. Now the cheap
or
cigarettes,
maybe not
quite
tequila and shitting themselves all for the next few days and losing weight that way.
I think we could say that now at this point of the podcast. But it was a rough couple of days, folks. But it was worth it to party with you, mate. It was amazing to see you out here.
It was great.
I hugged you as soon as I saw you, mate. It was amazing. That makes how many countries for us? 4, does it? If we count England, America,
UK, Canada, America. Yeah, 4 countries. Yeah.
Need another one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let Thailand get that on the list. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Saudi, maybe next year. Who knows?
Well, the flights go through there, and there's an option, but maybe not. Maybe not.
Will I be seeing you at All In this year? Is that still up in the air?
I think I'll be back. I was talking to Pollock the other day and a few other people in your circles, so I think I'll be making the trip. We'll see.
Well, if you are in London, I think quite a few of us are going to be there for All In Wembley this year. I'm actually booking my flights today, hopefully. So,
cool.
Virgin Atlantic flying now, which I'm some good prices there. So gonna put that today. And yeah, Benno, thank you for stepping in. Great chat, great catching up with you. Thank you again for everything in Vietnam and your hospitality and everything. But it was a good chat. Talking cuts, talking call-ups, some AEW, and a little bit of Hogan there.
There you go. Great stuff. Like I say, when I see it in London, it won't be quite as cheap as Vietnam, but it was definitely my pleasure to have you out here, mate. But yeah, great stuff. Like I say, we took post-Mania, we took the week off this week as far as covering stuff on Grapple. So feel plugged back into the machine again now, and yeah, great. Like I say, we did the same thing. There's nothing going on. We can take a few days off and then do the release off the roster. So who knows what tomorrow will bring? But yeah, we'll see.
Similar with us, a little bit of housekeeping to end. We didn't release anything on the Patreon this week. We were pretty burnt out from WrestleMania ourselves, and still coming off my trip and trying to unpack and just sort stuff out. just life gets in the way at times. But we'll be doubling up on the Patreon next week. We'll have a new Was Next. Braden and I are still finalizing. We're hoping to do another Up Yours next week. We'll have a Champions Here coming up. That's all on the Patreon. Only $5 a month. Patreon.com/Poisonrana. We'll be back on the Post Wrestling Network on Tuesday to talk Up Next. I'm sure we'll get Braden's thoughts on some of the call-ups and releases. And maybe if he's had a chance to watch any of the Hogan doc, we'll be covering that. And then next Sunday, 2 p.m. for another Poisonrana Live. Benno, anything you'd like to plug before we say goodbye?
Yeah, as I said earlier, like if you're watching this on YouTube, easy, youtube.com/@grapple, or just throw grapple in your search bar at the top. We could use all the subscribers we can get. So yeah, join us over there. And obviously, even if you fancy some of our Patreon content, sneaky hack, 99p, or if you're Vietnamese, as I found out on my Vietnamese YouTube account that I might have for reasons, you get it for about 20p. I didn't know they did that. Like when they converted on YouTube, that's why some subscribers make you more money than others, as Davey probably knows behind the scenes as well. So cost me some money, save yourself some money, and subscribe to us on YouTube, or become a member on YouTube through any country you like through VPN.
What an honest businessman there, underselling yourself.
I just want more people to hear your voice, mate. I'm not asked about the money. That's all we need. More people in the door, and I'll take you whatever you want to pay. But outside that, patreon.com/grapple. You can even jump on that for free too. We give it all away.
Well, give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Poisonrana Pod. We are on Blue Sky at Poisonrana.ca, and you can follow me at Davie Portman. That is it. That is all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. Ahoy.